put my headphones on.
We are live. Headphones. Yes, we do need headphones. Thank you so much. Yeah, we had a little bit of technical difficulties, but that's okay. I don't need to see YouTube, so no worries. Hello, Margie. Hello, hello. Welcome, friends. We're so glad to have you all here. As Margie said, get a drink, some paper and glue. Please don't spill the glue. But if you do, let it glue your chair to right where you are so you can join us and stay here for some great fun.
Thank you for sharing, Marianne.
That was Margie. And don't forget the thumbs up per Margie. So thank you very much. I was just reading Margie's comment, that, by the way. So glad to see you. Oh, you're going to watch on the big screen tonight. Awesome. Good to see you. Susan, hello, hello. Good to see you. We are all doing great. Sarah asks how everyone's doing. With me, I'm Marianne with Happy Paper People. With me, there is up here, Miss Sylvia. Would you like to wave, Sylvia?
Hi.
And up here is Miss Dawn Marie. Hello, hello.
Hi, everyone.
We are so happy to be here. And there's Glynis. Hello, Glynis. Good to see you. Getting ready to go on vacation. Let's run down here. We're a few minutes late, so I'm going to run through this really quickly. There's Toby. Hi, guys. How's it going?
Hi, Toby.
Good
Hi,
to see
Toby.
you. Electricity has been off, and she's afraid she'd miss it. Well, it's back on, and we are here. So, yeah, get in out of the cold, sit down, grab some glue, grab some paper, and we're going to have a great time tonight. Hello, Christy. Good to see you as well. Let's see if there's anybody new just popped in. Cheryl's here. Hello, Cheryl. Oh, she's got her compliment. She is ready to glue. Love that.
Yay.
Love that. Okay, so tonight we are doing a collage workshop. Before we get started on the collage workshop, I am going to mention about the weekend workshop that we have coming up. And I realized today that I did not put the announcement into the Facebook group. So if you weren't at the last live, you did not get a chance to see this at all or hear about it. You've been hearing about it, that it's coming, but you did not get to hear the announcement of it is here. So this is the Vintage Library Shadow Box. I know you've seen it. I've shown it before. It's made with all vintage library things and a couple extra goodies of mine. That's the little leather book from our Happy Paper box. Little lantern. There's all kinds of stuff on here. Anyway, this is now ready to go in a kit. You get a kit that is almost $80 in value. This is a fantastic kit because, for example, you get crackle paste, and you are definitely not going to use all the crackle paste on this project. So you're going to have a crackle paste to last you for the rest of your crafting career, or, you know, at least the year if you do a whole lot. So you're going to have enough things in this kit. There is not one thing in this kit that you will use up completely doing this project. And I'm so excited about that because that means that you are getting not only the project, but a ton of other supplies as well for the same cost. That to me means greater value. And that's always what I look for, is that it's not going to be used up there. But you could make a whole bunch more of the shadow boxes if you wanted, or other things. So this one will be on Vintage Library. So that's what your kit is focused around. But you get all the paint, which you can use for anything, the paste, the mediums, whatever you need to make this. So the event is going to be, where's my note? My note is gone. It is going to be Friday after work, Eastern time. So for those, I know there are some in the Eastern time zone that want to attend, and maybe they don't get off work until 3, 4, 5. So it will start. I will give you the exact times once we have the group solidified. It'll be February 16th, which is a Friday after work. So all of Friday evening, and February 17th, which is Saturday. It will be Saturday day and into Saturday evening. So it is going to be a nice long weekend workshop. We are not going to be nose into this all the time. We're going to have some time for some fun and just hanging out and playing together. So it's going to be a really, really fun workshop. And the more of you that are there, the funner it'll be. However, we are limited in spots because we are going to do it in StreamYard. And you don't need any special technology for StreamYard to do this workshop. All you need is a smartphone or a tablet or a laptop or a PC, a computer on your desk. That's all you need. You don't need any special technology. It will not be broadcast live to the world. It will only be with those who are in the workshop. It will be a private event because you have paid for it. It is a paid for private event. And you will also get a link to that private recording so you can go back and listen to it again, watch it again if you want to make another one, or just go back and watch something specific, a technique or something that you want to reconfirm in your mind. So that recording will be there, but it will be private, and only those who paid for the workshop will have the link to that. So we have at this point 5 slots still available. The cost for the entire weekend workshop is $96. That's remember, the kit is almost $80 in itself. This is going to be a fantastic weekend. Let me grab the banner here. Here's how we're doing it. If you would like to go, if you would like to come to this workshop with us, we'll get Sylvia back. There we go. If you would like to come to this workshop with us, then we will pay the same way we've been doing the DMB sales, either Venmo or PayPal. And so right here, right below here is my Venmo information. That's my actual name on Venmo. And the picture is on both of them is the same picture. It's cute little Lucy's face, Lucy the boxer. On PayPal, if it's the first, or I'm sorry, on Venmo, if it's the first time you Venmoed and it asks you for the phone number, it's 9000. PayPal, there's the email that is on PayPal. So if you know that you want to go on those 2 days, then just go to PayPal or Venmo, send the $96, and then shoot me a private message or an email saying I paid. That way I make sure that I see it. I'm sure that I'll see it, but just in case. And it's first come, first serve, because there's limited seats to be in StreamYard. I wanted this to be a very intimate workshop without having to fly here and be together. We will all be together in StreamYard. And so just like Dawn Maria and Sylvia right now can speak and we could talk to each other, the 3 of us, it will be exactly that way, where you'll be able to talk to everybody in the workshop. And that is so much nicer than just being, on YouTube where you have to chat, which also works under some conditions, but I wanted this to be a much more personal experience where we could be together. So it will be first come, first serve, and you can do that now. You could do it after, but as soon as those last 5 slots are filled, then it will close. I will put a announcement in the group tonight. I realized that I forgot to do that. I released this at our last live, and some people jumped on it right away, and then I forgot to put it in the group. So there's some there you don't know. So
you can put my screen full screen. I've got mine up if they want to see.
So Dawn Marie has done one similar to mine. She just went way farther in embellishing it, made it more grungy and full of stuff. So, and there will be a point where you can do anything you want to it. So if you want to completely deck it out and add all kinds of stuff, you are certainly welcome to. But we will walk through this together. We are going to make it together step by step. In this kind of workshop, nobody gets left behind. We will make it together step by step. And when you complete the workshop, you will have your completed shadow box. Thank you for showing that. I love the owls.
I know, my little drunk owls that goes bing, 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 bing.
So when you complete the workshop, you will have a completed shadow box that you can display proudly on your shelf or your wall. It's really awesome. So as soon as we have, and the reason this is so far out in February is because we have to have everybody registered by January. Where's my date? By January 27th. Yes, by January 27th. I'm hoping that it won't take that long. That's another 2 weeks. But we have to have registration complete by January 27th, because then we are going to have a conference call with just those who are attending the workshop. And at that conference call, I will give you all details, everything you need to know that everybody who's not coming doesn't need to know. We'll talk about the box, what you need to bring. There are very, very few things that you need to bring. Almost everything is in your kit. So, but there will be just a couple things you'll want to have on hand, you know, this glue, your scissors, that kind of thing. We'll talk about the box and answer all questions, and you'll have everything down. And that's 3 weeks prior to the workshop. So there will be plenty of time. The kits will get sent out, and you'll have the kits in your hand, and you'll have specific instructions ready to go. You will also get printed instructions on this. Now, I do know that somebody had already asked me, could they pay for the workshop and get the kit, even if they knew they couldn't attend, but they would have access to the private video later so they could watch it as if they were there. Yes, you can do that. If you know that you aren't available that weekend and you do want to participate in it, if you pay, you're not there live, but you're still paying for the workshop that you get via video, and you get the kit. So that is an option. Now, if there are more than 5 people that want to fill those slots, as long as some of them are in that manner where they know they can't be there, we can get a couple more people in there, but only a couple, because I only have a couple more kits. But we have a certain amount that we can put in StreamYard where we can be live together. And I want this to be a small, intimate class. So, and your box will be anywhere from about 6.5 square to about 8.5 square. But on that conference call, we'll talk about that in depth and discuss the box, answer your questions, and be all ready to go. So I got you on this. That is really the only thing that you have to supply is the box, but there are a whole bunch of ways that you can do that. For example, here's a cardboard box. Look at the depth of that. Perfect. This is a perfect box. And we're going to paint it. So that's also going to strengthen it. You could collage it just to strengthen it and then paint it and do this. So don't worry about the box. There's a number of ways we can get your box. And that is not an issue, not a problem. So I'm going to put that away. And if you have any other questions, you can message me later privately about that. I think I about covered everything that you would need to know now in order to choose whether to sign up for that. I'm really excited about that one. That was so fun to make. We've got other weekend workshops in the works that are going to be super fun. Mini albums, some things from 49 and Market that I'm just excited about. A lot of these that I'm working in the back of my brain, things that I've sat through some classes with Janine, who's the owner of 49 and Market, the founder, and gotten some great ideas from her. And she has actually put together some classes for us to bring to you as these workshops. And that I'm very excited about because she's put it together. So I pay for it and take the workshop with her so that I can then prepare the kits and turn around and give the workshop to you. So if you like 49 and Market, there's some fun stuff coming up. And we can do more of those shadow boxes too. Those are fun. Hi, Joanne. Good to see you. Okay, so I know, Marky, it is cool, isn't it? All right, so I am going to get rid of this Venmo and PayPal on here. And if you didn't get it and you decide later that you need it, shoot me a private message. Okay, yeah, we've got some good stuff happening. In fact, I haven't been in the group much this week because all of this week I've been in meetings all day, every day, Monday through Thursday. Today was the last day with vendors. With vendors actually looking at their new products, seeing what's coming out, trying to decide what to order for the shop and what to bring to you and what kind
Order it all, order it all, order it all.
Oh, I wish I could.
Yeah.
Everybody throw in $1,000 and I'll order it all for all of us.
Okay.
Really,
All right.
Hi, Tara. Good to see you.
And
yeah,
Joanne is here too.
I said hello to Joanne.
I'm sorry I
already.
didn't hear you. It was probably
That's
while I was
okay.
drinking my hot cocoa.
Oh, probably. It does. You know, a good slug of hot cocoa can just make you go deaf for a moment and go,
Exactly.
I get it. I totally get it. Okay, I'm also going to take a quick second, and boy, this is going to have to be fast because we're losing time, and we've got a lot to talk about tonight. Don't want you to forget about Margie's ATC Book Challenge in January. We are in January right now. It is not too late to jump in and participate in this. It is for the first 4 weeks of January. So as long as you complete everything and have everything posted by January 28th, which is the end date, you will still get in this. Okay, so let me say this. ATC means Artist Trading Card, right? Okay, Artist Trading Card. So this is an Artist Trading Card Book Challenge, or an Artist Trading Card Challenge, or an ATC Challenge, not ATC Card Challenge, because that would be Artist Trading Card Challenge, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it's an ATC challenge or an ATC book challenge. Oh, awesome, Susan. I will post them. Yay. Okay, so yes, it's an ATC book challenge. And week 1, we were to make 3 ATCs. And that's appropriate. Here are my ATCs for week 1 or week 2. Green, blue, and black and white. Week 2, our themes to make were red, purple, and neutral. Neutral, think craft, tan, cream, all those kind of neutral colors. Week 3 will be released this coming Monday at Monday Jumpstart. It's Martin Luther King Day, so a lot of you might have off work, which would be awesome. And we will have Monday Jumpstart, and we will release week 3 themes for the 3rd week, and then week 4 themes the following Monday. So when you make them, post a photo in the Facebook group showing that they are 2.5 by 3.5. Don't forget to put them on a grid, whether it's your mat here, whether it's your cutting board, whatever it is, put it on a grid so that admin, when we're checking, we can see that it is 2.5 by 3.5. We need to verify the size. And I mentioned this before, and a lot of you have jumped on that, but I encourage you to post them early and as you get them done. Because if there is something that just you didn't catch and it's out of the rules, outside of the rules, then you have time to fix it. You know, maybe it's a little too big, or maybe you accidentally had some lace hanging over the side and it looks like it's 4 inches or 3 by 3.5. You have time to correct that. And so put them in early so you have plenty of time to correct it so you get in that drawing. Everybody who gets all 12 posted on January 28th, one post that shows all 12 ATCs on your ring. Could be a ring, it could be a keychain, it could be a piece of wire made into a ring, but ring bound. It's Margie's challenge, Margie's rules. Okay. She wants an ATC book with the themes that she's given us, ring bound. And when you post that by January 28th, that's Sunday, then you are automatically in the drawing. The drawing will be done the very next day, January 29th at Monday Jumpstart. We will draw 3 names. The first one will get $50, the second $25, and the third $25 to spend at hppcreate.com or at a live sale. And there's a bunch of new stuff that's not even on the website yet. So you will get an opportunity at that. So that's a great opportunity to get a tool or some mediums, some mixed media stuff that maybe you wouldn't have splurged for before. But we want to thank Margie. Margie is sponsoring this, and she's providing those prizes. So very excited. And thank you, Margie. You just have to say a big thank you again.
Yay, Margie!
Hey, that's right. Hi, Sarah. Welcome, welcome. It is good to see you.
And we are not eligible.
And admin is participating in the challenge. You'll see they are doing it. They are expected to do the challenge. They're expected to meet the rules. And even though I had to comment and ask some of them to repost them on the grid so we could see their size, Admin is expected to participate. However, admin is not eligible to receive the prize. So there's about 5 or 6 people right there that automatically are not going to win the prize. So I would say get your ATCs in. Yeah, pretty awesome. Okay, let's put that away because today we are doing a collage workshop. And there is a lot to tell you about Collage Workshop. We are not doing we're doing a deep dive, but we're not doing a deep dive. Okay, there is so much about collage that if there's interest after we complete this one, we will go ahead and schedule another evening or a Monday jumpstart or, sometime where we do a deep dive into some other alternative ways and things that you can do. Collage really has no limits. It has no boundaries. There are no rules. And no rules, just right? Isn't that what the commercial says? So, thank you, Bon. Got your message. Sometimes when there are no rules and so there's no guidelines, that makes it more difficult for some people because we don't know where to start. We don't even know what to do because there's usually something that says, if you want to do this, then here's how you do it. Okay. And collage can be so vague and it can be so general. And there are so many ways to do it that sometimes that's overwhelming to people. And really, if you flip that on its head, collage is the easiest kind of art form to do. It is one of the best ways to start art. It's one of the best ways to open up your creativity. It's one of the best ways to relax. It's just really, really an amazing thing. And there's so much that you can do with it. So we are going to talk tonight mostly about how to do it. And there's a lot of different ways. We're not going to tackle every single way tonight, but we're going to give you enough that if you're not comfortable with it, or if you haven't done it before, or even if you have, maybe you'll pick up a new way, a new idea. We're going to talk about what is the difference between a collage and a masterboard. I can't tell you how long when people first started saying masterboard, I heard that term thrown around, and I watched different people. And I thought I understood it with this one. And then I would watch someone else and they're using it and in a different manner. And I could not figure out what it is. What does masterboard mean? She's calling this a masterboard and she's calling that a masterboard, and they're not the same thing. So yeah. So we are going to take the mystery out of that and define what is a collage and what is a masterboard and how you make each. We're going to talk about what you can do with them. Because you say, okay, I collage all this stuff. Now what? What do I do with it? So we're going to talk about that as well. So let's start with how we collage. First of all, what do we collage on? You can collage on anything that glue will stick to. And if glue won't stick to it, throw on a coat of gesso and now glue will stick to it. So you can literally collage on anything. So let me start there with what is the difference between decoupage and collage. I'm sure a lot of you have seen some beautiful pieces of furniture. I just really admire, I see some gorgeous ones. A dresser or a nightstand or something like that, where they will take this piece of furniture and decoupage or collage, which is it? This beautiful rice paper or, whoever's paper, Prima paper or Ciaobella paper on it. And the dresser just turns out looking awesome afterwards. And it's so gorgeous. Is that collage or decoupage? Sylvia and DM don't say anything. Throw that into the comments. Is that collage or decoupage? Hi, Jen. So glad that you're here. Well, while you're thinking about that, I will tell you that that is decoupage. And what is this? Is this collage or decoupage? This is collage. And how do you know the difference? How do you know the difference between collage and decoupage? Susan, right, decoupage. Okay, the easiest way, and we can do both in the same manner on something. DM is queen of covering her boxes. I have a whole bunch that need to be covered, and I have some that are covered. Some are decoupaged, some are collaged. If I take a box and I take a piece of rice paper and I cover the whole small box with the rice paper, that is decoupage. It's one continuous piece of paper. Now, maybe I have to piece a second one in because the paper isn't quite big enough, but I am decoupaging that one design, that one paper, that one design on this item. That is decoupage. If I'm taking this Ciao Bella rice paper or decoupage paper and I'm doing it over the furniture, even though I have to cut it and bring it down so the drawer will open and then cut it and bring it down, that is decoupage. So you're decoupaging that onto the furniture. Now, if you take that and you tear it up or cut it up into smaller pieces, and you may or may not add pieces of something else with it, and then you start gluing those on individually, that's collage. So collage is gluing on more than one piece in any sort of fashion, because there are multiple ways to do that. So does that make sense, starting right there with what is collage and what is decoupage? So these are collage because these are all different pieces of paper. I actually did these yesterday. I was working on a project and I had 3 or 4 pieces of paper from the same paper pack. And so you can see different ones here, and they were all double-sided. So there's probably, 6 to 8 different ones at least on there. And some of the pages had things all over them. So I know that they go together because they're all from the same paper pack. So after I finished this project, I had this pile of offcuts. Some of them were little bitty, some of them were great big. So I just sat down and started slapping them on the paper. These are collaged. They're all from different pieces of paper. They all go together and they're all cut. So this is what you would call paper piecing or paper quilting. All the pieces of paper are cut and pieced together in an orderly fashion, just like you would do with a quilt. If I had a quilt, I would take a backing here, and I could take, there's multiple ways to do a quilt as well, so I do understand that. I might take all those little pieces and I might sew each one onto the backing and piece that together and have a pieced quilt. So this would be a paper quilt or a paper pieced collage. Okay. So I managed to get 4 complete out of that, and I still had a few scraps, but I had to stop. I also had a couple places where in between them I saw a tiny little white gap of the paper behind it. And so I just ran over the top of these with Distress Collage Medium. I don't ever bother to put this underneath because I don't want to waste it underneath where it's not seen. But if I do, something on my light is bugging me, sorry. If I do want it to look aged or distressed, then I'll run this. It's vintage. You can see that that's why it's brown instead of clear or white and dries clear. The vintage collage medium over the top of it, and it gives it that vintage look. But what it does is fill in those little tiny gaps of white paper where maybe that piece wasn't cut exactly straight. So I didn't have to stop and cut it again. It fills that in with that vintage color so that you don't see the white in between it. Okay, so that is paper piecing or paper quilting. Then there is a second way, and I say a second way, there's lots and lots of different ways, but we're really going to work with 2 ways tonight. One is you could consider straight lines. So the paper piecing or quilting, straight line collage. The other would be torn pieces. I just found this from like 5 years ago. Torn pieces of paper collaged. You can tell some of these are from the splat box, some would be from a gel plate. I recognize that as a piece of wrapping paper. There's some book pages. That was a piece of scrapbook paper. So just torn pieces all laid down instead of cut and all in order or lines lining up next to each other. They might overlap each other unless you wanted to leave the white or whatever color it is underneath between them. They're going to overlap each other, and they're just torn pieces laid down on top of each other in any random order. So primarily what we're going to address tonight is paper piecing, which we'll call or think of as straight lines, and torn paper, which is obviously torn paper pieced in any manner that pleases your eye. So I also found these from about 5 years ago. These are from a Tell Us What to Do. So maybe not quite 5 years ago, but one of our very first ones. File folder is what we had to use. And I don't remember, we had to use a stamp, obviously. But these are some gel plates or gel prints that I had done that we obviously had to use a fiber, maybe something metal, because I see that right there. There's a fortune cookie. So this I just stuck away somewhere, but it's going to be a good example to show you something else tonight. This is also from the same Tell Us What to Do night, and I see why I stuck that one away, because I really don't care for it at all. But I'm going to show you something that you can do with it where you actually might like it after you do that. Again, the same night. Yep.
Yes, Jen. I was gonna say that once she got to a point. You don't have to stick with paper. It can be fabric.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
She's not there. Okay, we're not there yet.
Jen, don't get ahead of yourself or ahead of me. There is so much, and just give me time to get this out, because you guys who've done this a lot, I know a lot of you have done this a lot and are totally familiar and know all of the things. I've had a lot of questions recently about collaging, and that's why we're doing this, because I realize that even though we've done some good collage workshops, it's been maybe 2 years since we even did one. And some of us tend to think of it as something that's basic, that everybody knows. So we don't want to labor it because we think everybody knows. And that's not true, because there are people who have been maybe making cards who are new to this side. Maybe they've been scrapbooking and are new to this side, or people who've been doing other crafts and have decided to tackle paper crafts. So that made me realize that we do need to tackle it, even the beginning stuff, every now and then. And like I said, we won't get into everything, but we will do a deep dive, enough that your head could be spinning if this is all new to you. And then we'll do another one where we do a deep dive and even give you some more ideas. Okay, so we're addressing basically paper piecing and torn paper. Okay, now what do you collage on? And I said before, you can collage on anything that glue will stick to. And if it won't stick to it, give it a coat of gesso and it will stick to it. So you can collage on anything. So I keep a pile of scrap paper. For whatever reason, this is scrap paper. It's got staples, so it came off of something. Packing paper is awesome. It's awesome on the gel plate. It's awesome to spray on, and it's awesome to collage on. Index cards, whether they are coffee dyed or not. In fact, I typically keep my coffee dyed index cards for other things in the journal, and I'll take the white ones that I haven't coffee dyed yet and use those to collage on, because then the back side I can make that look coffee dyed, and I won't have to take the time to do that. This is one of my favorite things. This is a desk calendar. Now this one is awesome because it doesn't have dates on it, and it's just a Monday through Sunday. So every week you can tear it off and get another one, and you could collage front or back. So I could collage the other side, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do with it. But I've got some good writing space right here. But if you have a calendar that is 2, 3, 4, 10 years old, a desk calendar or a wall calendar, those are excellent to collage on. You can collage on any packaging. I'll collage on this, even though I cut out a couple of holes there. That's okay. I'm going to have paper over it. If I need to reinforce it, I will. I can always put 2 pieces there. That works. Another favorite thing to collage on is paper that you won't use. Now, I will no longer say ugly paper because honestly, I think that this is pretty darn adorable. It is super cute paper. But the truth is, I've had it for 8 years and I'm never going to use it. I'm just not going to. I just don't do anything Disney, even though I think it's super cute, which is why I bought it, right? So it's paper that I won't use, even if it is cute. And I could collage this side and cover this side right up and have the back side free for other purposes. Or I just don't do any baby things right now either and haven't for 5 years. So I could collage this side and leave this, or I could collage the white side and then I could cover this side if I want, if this side was going to show. Okay, so that's all this is paper that I've got sitting here that I can use. So I won't go through every piece because it's just, you know, paper that I'm not going to use. And the reason I say that you could use this side or the white side is because if you're not super familiar with collaging or haven't done a lot of it, sometimes when you sit down to do it on this side and you put something down and you've got the bright colors of this page jumping out at you, sometimes it can make that difficult to see your collage because you're seeing the whole thing, you know, so those colors tend to start mixing in with your collage. So if that's the case for you, then there's a couple things you could do. Give it a quick coat of gesso or old white acrylic paint or cream colored acrylic paint, just anything that kind of mutes that out so it's not jumping out at you. Or turn it over, and torn doesn't matter because I'm going to put paper on top of it and that'll make it strong. Do it on this side so you have the white. Okay. And so we're going to do some collaging and we're going to talk about and show some different, those different techniques. And then we're also going to talk about what do you do with them after you've made them. I've heard a lot of people say, okay, so I collage all these things down, all these scraps down, and now what do I do with this? I just don't even know what to do with it. And we've got some great suggestions for you there. So let's, before we start putting things down, let's talk about, and all these smart girls that have been doing this and do some amazing collages are their brains are already way ahead of me. So way ahead of me. What do I collage with? Some buff, ugly paper. Yeah. See, ugly is in the eye of the beholder. And honestly, it couldn't have been that ugly or I never would have gotten the paper, right? But just because it's cute and just because I think it's cute doesn't mean I'll ever use it. So I now call it paper that I'll never use, or I'm not likely to do anything but collage.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right? You know, and I would never want to say this is an ugly paper and then have my good friend.
Because I bought it. I bought it. It can't be that ugly. It's just old, maybe.
I love that paper, you know. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so
it's beyond its use.
Yeah. These are pieces that are left from papers that I had run through embossing folders and now throwing on the floor. I got to quit doing that, really. And then tried some different things on them, like some lunar paste or some vintage paste to see how these different things would work or would look on this kind of thing. So that's just plain embossed. So these are kind of leftover offcuts of that. These are fabric scraps. See, Jen's brain's already going to all the millions of things that she can do. Fabric scraps are amazing to collage with. If this fits in, actually, I think I've got some paper here that this fits in with, and you don't have to use it as this whole thing. I could cut or tear. I love to tear the fabric and get those little bits of frayed edges, which are awesome. And then put down the things that are going down, put this next to it, let the frayed edges get glued on top of the paper next to it. It looks really cool. So I could make 4 or 5 or 3, pieces out of this. So different kinds of fabric scraps. This is the only one I could find, which tells me it's time to make some more of these because I used to have a whole container of them, but I use them a lot. This is actually washi tape, but I do it with book page and music page and leftover bits of lace and other paper. But I just took the washi and just folded it over, and ran it through the sewing machine. And you end up with a little embellishment strip. And all it is the color. It doesn't even matter what that says, but you put it on the color, and it's going to add, and it's got that little bit of stitching on it. You could stitch your whole collage after it's done. You absolutely can. And if you were with us a few weeks ago when we did the paper piecing with large pages that I had sewn around every single piece, it would be like I could grab one after we get going, but it's like taking this and sewing around every single piece of paper that I added on here, and then use this as a cover, a book cover. That is really cool too. And that's a really awesome look. So that's another way to use your collage things. So anything that you can fold into any ruffle, a paper ruffle, lace ruffle, little bits and pieces of lace are awesome on collage. These are just strips of old paper that I glued book pages onto, or actually just glued the book pages together on that one. This was old paper. And then started collaging on top of it. So there was book page and music page. And then we got some new medium in, and I grabbed this so that we could try the new medium. And then we tried vintaging it to see what that would look like. And it's just kind of really weird. But if I cut that up or tore that up into small things, it would make cool little accents on a collage. All of these, I may look at that and go, I wouldn't use that as a whole, but bits and pieces, yeah, awesome for collage. Here's the thing. If you are choosing, or you are trying to choose what you want to collage with paper-wise, and you say, I have 5 million pieces of paper or scraps, how do I choose? You're going to basically choose by a color grouping. And this is the easiest way to get started. It's not the only way to do it. There are many other ways, but if you're trying to get started, you're going to look at a color grouping. These are address labels. And these we did with shaving cream and acrylic paint. So as a whole, I mean, it's not, really anything special, but when you take each address label off and you collage that down, it adds a really cool color. So when you're choosing things to collage with, all you're looking for is the color. Do not care about the design at all. You're only looking for color. What about things where I'm going to run through these real quick while I'm talking. I don't want to stop and talk about each one of them. From the gel plate or trying different mediums. We get something new in, I always grab a piece of paper and we try it out. This obviously came from a splat box, but we try a medium out and see what it does, see if we like it. Sometimes we try a different technique on the gel plate. Oh, this is wallpaper. And yeah, you can see that texture in there. It's wallpaper that you put up and you can actually paint on. So that's off the gel plate, that one too. And that is tearable. Tearable. Yeah, that wallpaper is tearable. So you might try a new technique. And
oh, wow. I had to groan.
Oh, well, I didn't want anybody to think I was saying, well, that's terrible. I love that wallpaper. But try the technique and you don't love the way it turns out, you didn't get anything great, no big deal. You throw it into this container like I did with all of these. It's for collaging. So when I'm collaging with this color grouping, these are the things that I go to and tear up. Black and white. Always love black and white in collaging. I'll tear these up. You're not going to see this whole thing. You're going to see bits and pieces and parts and pieces. This is the first book page that we gel plated with, and I got a ghost print of this cowboy. Accidentally. I didn't even know how to do it, and so we know it can be done. Made this piece of paper. I do like that one. So we were trying out some new mediums on this one. But if I cut that up or tear that up, it'll make really cool collage pieces. A lot of them are not things that I would use as a whole, but they are cool pieces to cut or tear and use. I'll say cut, but I mean cut or tear. Tearing is a form of cutting in our world. So they might just be with sprays. They might be sprays on the gel plate, which these were. They might be sprays and then stamped. This is a really funky kind of paper it's like handmade paper, and it's just almost fragile. So I tried a bunch of things with that just to see how it would hold up. So, you know, maybe I'm not going to use these for covers, but they're great for tearing up for collage. So I always have a huge bin of things that are ready to go for collage. And then if you come to something that you did 2 years ago and you look at it and you say, well, wait a minute, that's not bad. I'm not sure I want to tear that up. That's pretty cool. That was with maple leaves from my backyard tree. All right, I'm going to pull that out of there because, you know, I don't want to tear that up. Ugh, that's kind of, yeah, I remember trying techniques on that, and that turned out really weird. But it'll be cool all torn up. And here, oh, there you go. That was the ad, and that was the ghost print that I got on the gel plate with it. Kind of cool. There's another one. We did this at on a live, making our own paper in that way. Again, I love the colors of this one, but it's not really anything I would use for much. Maybe for a tag base, but it's awfully flimsy, right? So how are we going to use that? We're just going to tear them up. We're going to collage, and then we're going to show you how to take that and use that. So it could be on glassine. It can be on tissue paper. It can be on copy paper. It can be on watercolor paper. Oh, look at that. Okay. That was gel plated and then drew the face in. I don't know. I might want to keep that and do something with it. So I'm going to pull that out of there. The time. And, you know, this is really cool, but it's really metallic. What am I going to do with this huge sheet of metallic? But if that was torn up on a page, it looked really cool. The roses. There's that face again. I looked at this one. It was a stencil. And then I looked at the stencil and drew it onto that other one, like the face in the moon. Okay. That's really cool. I love the colors, the black and white and red, but I don't know what I would do with it. Seeing if that doily would work on the gel plate. Trying out a new stencil on the gel plate. You know, it's a great way to not worry about trying techniques. Let's just try this technique and see if it works. However it turns out, it doesn't matter because it's going to have some color on it and you're going to be able to use that color. So just keep a pouch or a bin or a tub or a box or a drawer, anything where you can just throw all this kind of stuff. I love that metallic blue, but man, that could be overwhelming. So maybe in little doses. Maybe in little doses, I could take that. Cleaning off gel plates where it's got layers and layers of different colors of grunge that are there and getting that all up. And I love tearing up those grungy ones and putting those into collages. I was looking for something that's a little bit different. Okay, this was a piece of scrapbook paper, but it started with a base of paint to cover whatever it was because it was really distracting. And then we just did we just tried different techniques on it. That was alive. That's cool, but what would I do with it? But that'll look really cool when it's torn up in a collage. Same with that.
Ooh, so, I like that.
Yeah, don't be afraid to try techniques on the gel plate or even with your fingers, right, or with your mark making tools.
So that's just all stuff that's, you know, she has in her bin.
Yeah, this is just a pouch full of stuff. This is only one of the pouches full of stuff that I gel plated. And when we do a live and we're like, okay, we just got lunar paste, let's try them out and see what they do. There's the media techniques. Oh, here's a bag, shopping bag, but it has great color on it. So that's a great torn up. Oh, here's another one we did on a live on a Tell Us What to Do. Okay,
so as long as any of those are in the same colorways as something that you're doing for your journal or something that you're doing or all the paper that you've got too, you can use those along with any of the paper from any company or whatever.
Right.
And to make them into, you don't have to use all the same company, but you need the same colorways.
Color family, yeah.
And you look for the color family and you go on and you say, my favorite color is orange. So I pull out anything orange, whether I've made it, whether it's ribbon, whether it's anything.
I would use this with orange. It's got red and brown and white and peach, but it's all shades of orange. That would be great. Okay, so here is one that when we
love that
lunar paste. Yeah, we first got the lunar paste and we're like, what is this stuff? It just came in. I pulled it out literally that morning. We sat down at a Monday Jumpstart, grabbed a stencil, took the others out just with my finger and was doing this. Let's see what this stuff is. And we got this metallic. We didn't even know how to use it yet, but got to try it. Well, I can't throw that away just because they're pretty, right? We're going to show you tonight what you can do with this, because you're probably not going to stick that in a journal, but you know, there's things you can do with even your test pages. So tried something.
You can stick stuff like that in your art journal.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Yep. Torn up and collaged on an art journal page. Yeah, tried something. Knew what I did wrong, but you know, the colors were cool, so I'm gonna keep it and I'm gonna collage with it. Now,
so how do you get from that to your collage,
Marianne?
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
Okay.
We have one more thing. We need to look at this. So it's easy for you to go find the paper. You know all the paper. You know you've got the paper. You've got the offcuts. What about stuff like this, where you doubled or tripled or quadrupled, and then you cut out to make those buttons? What do you do with that? Throw it away? Nope, this is a great stencil, and once it won't work as a stencil anymore, you can collage with it. Or don't use it as a stencil, collage with it. Pieces of tissue paper. Jen already said fabric. This is pieces of cork. You can use pieces of cork. The Braille paper. I always have paper on the bottom of my splat box, so if I put something in there to spray it, there is always paper underneath it that is just going to get sprayed. And I love that. This is some of my favorite stuff to work with, is just this stuff that comes out of the splat box. Might have every color under the sun on it. This is actual Decopage paper from, I don't know, King Fresh, Doodlebug, something like that. Rice paper, crumpled up paper bag or packing paper. And then I tried out a stencil, but it really didn't work well because it was crumpled up. But it's still got pretty orange color. So in honor of DM, I'll keep that and use that. Or rice paper. Here's some of that same paper. And this one, put a stencil on and did some ink through it. So
with that one, I want you to notice that it's crumpled. It doesn't have to be a perfect piece of paper. Actually, crumpling gives it texture.
Yep. Okay. Cool bats, but I'll never use that. Or Halloween was over and I just had these offcuts. So turn it over, stuck it in the splat box. This is some really fine wrapping paper, but it's kind of too fine to use as wrapping paper. So it's almost like tissue paper. It works perfectly. One of my favorite things is the edge of books like this, book pages. Stick this in the splat box and let them get splattered. And those are really awesome. You might even have in your stash some actual collage paper from Tim Holtz or Dina Wakley. I'm pretty sure this is Dina Wakley's. It's got eyes and it's got colors. Probably Dina Wakley's. Tim Holtz is often black and white. Tissue paper, lace, doilies. You know, pattern paper, sewing pattern paper. If you can get it to stick with glue, it's going to work in collage. Coffee dyed paper, and you can even jazz those up. So that being said, there is nobody that can say, I don't have anything to collage with. There's some Braille paper. Oh, this was cool tissue paper. Came in some shoebox or something. That's all I have left. That was really cool. Really pretty. Not tissue paper, but it's kind of fine, kind of thin. Here's some that's been embossed. Okay, so who's going to collage along with us tonight?
Me.
Yeah, I am too.
I don't splat over. Yeah, I don't spray over Doug. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. Those who are going to collage along. I have some pouches here that have color families. Well, this one's just really black and white. This one is all neutrals. This one's purples and greens and that kind of thing.
Oh, good, Susan.
And this one is whatever that is.
Excellent, Toby.
Yellows and whatever. Okay, so I want you to pick a color combination. Awesome. Glynis and Susan and Toby. I know that there are probably, Toby is not on Facebook or we wouldn't be able to see her name. If anybody's watching on Facebook, it'll come up as Facebook user. You will not be able to see them. Actually, you will not be able to see what they type. If you're on YouTube, you can only see the people on YouTube, and the same for Facebook. So grab some, and I'm not going to say scraps because they're not all scraps. They're all offcuts, okay? But they're not, I don't consider it a scrap because there's a lot that's usable, but it is an offcut. So grab some scraps, some offcuts, whatever
She
it
is,
is,
Jen.
of, oh, I'm sorry, Jen. Yeah, I thought you meant, was she watching on Facebook? Yeah. Pick a color combination or a color family. I'm going to start with the neutral, and I fully intend to do one of each of these tonight, especially the black and white. I haven't done black and white in so long. I'll start with the neutral, but pick you a color combination and gather yourself some.
Good night, Doug.
Hi, honey. Pennsylvania. One more state to cover. No, now you still got about 3 or 4 states to cover. Woo! He covers like 12 states every week. Craziness. Craziness. I might keep out, well, a couple of these things. No, I'll just put them here because they can be easily grabbed. Put all these small ones together. All right. And I want to know what you're snacking on, Sylvia.
Oh my
Actually,
goodness, I'm
it's
sorry.
me.
No, you're fine.
Oh,
It's ever so subtle, and I'm like, oh, does she have peanut M&Ms?
I'm starving. Yes, I went to the kitchen and got Ruffles. Ruffles have ridges.
Oh, I love ridge potato chips. Almost any brand.
And I have freeze-dried, what are these? The little, candy. What are they? Skittles. Freeze-dried
Skittles? Wow.
If you show,
Yes.
I don't think I've ever heard of freeze.
I don't like
Skittles.
regular Skittles, but these
I
I
don't
can
either.
have like 3 of them, and I'm okay.
Wow. And they look
For a
just,
sweet tooth.
they're just freeze dried. That's crazy.
They break apart and they explode a little
Yeah.
bit.
I do have freeze dried ice cream.
Oh, I like freeze-dried ice cream. It melts in your mouth.
Yeah. It is yummy. Okay, so I'm going to set those aside. I'm keeping a couple of these out, so after we do a bit of collaging, we can talk about those. Let's put all these little bitty guys in here because I can grab them if I want them. But let me also warn you against getting so many things out in front of you to collage with that it becomes difficult to decide what to use. And that is really easy to do. And then paralysis of analysis happens, and you can't choose what you're going to collage with. So I find that if I do that, it can take me, and Margie can attest to this because we've been on talking while I was trying to do it, and it takes me hours. Or I can just sit down like I did yesterday with all the offcuts from 3 or 4 sheets that I did a project with, and whip these all out, completed in less than an hour. All of them. Because I only had 4 pages. They were double-sided, and they all went together. They just coordinated. So don't give your brain too much to have to decide. It becomes really, really difficult. So I'm
If I only had a brain.
I know. I wasn't going to say that, but I often feel like that. So I'm going to start with just a piece of scrap paper. And this is just like copy weight, really. Nothing heavy duty, just copy weight paper. By the time I collage it, it's going to be nice and strong. Oh, this is maybe even too much. Too much to choose from. But this is my pouch that just has neutral colored offcuts and scraps. I'm going to put some of these things off to the side. I'm going to show you a couple of tricks. If I use this on here, I'm going to see white through it. It may not really go with all the other things that are of neutral. So I'll show you a couple of tricks with things like that. I'm going to put little things like this aside for a moment. And I will do this one with the cut technique. Those straight lines. I think sometimes it's easier to see when you're learning. And then we'll do a torn. So I'm just kind of separating out. I've got some tissue paper here. And this is under here. Let's see, I got it. I have to separate like the big pieces from the little pieces so I can even see what's there. There's some Tim Holtz paper offcuts. Okay, that's a full sheet. Not sure how that got in there. This keeps getting in my way, so let's do that. This is a paper from one of our subscription boxes. There's some more, a different tissue paper. And these are all offcuts. Okay, so I'm going to start with something large, a larger piece, and I'm going to keep this because when I cut those thumb notches, I don't keep them forever, but usually when I finish a project like that, I take whatever's left over and I make some collage, and I keep those because if I have this piece, actually this whole thing is one piece. It looks like it's already collaged with that little bit and this little bit, but that was all one piece from the same paper. But that is just kind of a big blank solid color. And so I took one of these that I cut out with a thumb notch and just put it on here to break it up and actually just stamped it with that light. This light is really bugging me. Really bad, isn't it? Stamped it with a postage stamp thing in there. There's another one just to break up something that had a lot of plain space. Well, there's a long thing, and that's all it is just breaking it up, giving your eyes somewhere to go other than just line after line after line. If it's all light, I put something dark. If it's dark, I can put something light. This one has several of them. This is grungy and really cool, but it needed a little bit of light. That's a cool piece, but again, it's just a lot of the same. So keep those little thumb notch cutouts. You might want them in the end. So I'm going to start with a kind of sort of larger piece, and you can start either, you can start wherever you want. Those of you who've been doing this forever, you know what you like to do. I'm kind of addressing those who are not sure and they don't have a sense yet or a feel for what is most comfortable for them, or maybe they're looking to try it a different way to see if it feels better or if they like it that way. So I would typically start with a larger piece, and this is 8.5 by 11. So that might be too large. I might cut it in half. And I would start either somewhere in the middle or on one corner and build out from there. It's easier if I like starting in the middle, because then as I put things against it, I know there's room for them to fit. When I get to the edge, there's still room for them to fit. And you'll see how they just go over and get off cut. And it's super easy. And then sometimes I do piece and put things down inside between things, but I don't have to do it as much when I start that way. So this is a little bit big with a lot of stripy stripes. So I'm going to cut this in half.
So Toby has a question about glue.
Okay.
There are multiple glues out there that are made for this specifically, but then there are some of us who like to make their own. And that could be one whole subject one day, would be decoupage glues.
So what is her question?
She wanted to know what do you put these glue do you use to put these down with?
Okay. For me, I might choose the kind of glue depending on what I'm putting down. So I often have multiple kind of glues in front of me. And I don't mean for that to sound complicated, but if I'm just piecing paper or tearing and putting down paper, because I've got a lot of scraps and I want to use them up, or I want to make a whole batch of ATCs, which we're going to get to. It's all paper. I'm going to use any paper glue. I like the Stamperia craft glue. I like the Barely Art. I like the Art Glitter glue. Some of you really like a glue stick. If that works for you, that works as well. Now, if I'm doing things that are going to have to be, I need to put glue here and I need to put it down, and then I need to put glue over the top. That would be a napkin, tissue paper, some, super thin paper like that. I'm going to use something more like Stamperia Collage, or a distress, no, it doesn't have to be distress, sorry, collage medium. I just happen to have this one sitting here, but I wouldn't use the vintage underneath it because that's a waste of the vintage. I only use that on top to make it look a little bit aged. So I would use something that is going to specifically for collaging, go over the top really nicely and coat it. But if I don't have to go over the top, I'm not going to, because that is just going to make me have to wait longer for it to dry, right? So I'm going to start this guy over here. Okay. So all I'm going to do, and I'm not really worried about it being a super fine point. If you have a glue that you like that is not a super fine point, because it needs glue on the whole thing. Every piece does. So I'm just going to, and if I go a tiny bit over the edge, it doesn't matter. I'm going to trim it up later when we decide what to do with it. Okay. So how do I decide what to put down next? I could take a bunch of pieces of paper and I could line them all up and do them that way. And then when I get done, I look like I have a line of paper. Okay. And that's not what makes your eye happy. It's not what pleases your eye when you're doing a collage. What pleases it is the variety of shapes and directions and all of those things. So if I've got this down, the stripes are going horizontal, then I look at something that's going to be touching it. I want it to go vertical. Okay. And I don't want it to be the exact same size. I want it to either be smaller or larger. And I think this one is in here because it is probably the last one of that. Didn't know what else to do with it. So, but let me just grab a few things over here. So this is really very close to the same size. And if I put this one on, it looks like I'm just lining up paper, which I could do, but that's not the kind of collage that I want. So let me find something. Here's something that has stripes. This one has stripes, kind of sort of stripes. Do I want to put stripes next to stripes? I could, but maybe not. Maybe my eye wants to go to something else other than stripes. Okay. So this one is not stripes. It's got a different type of pattern. I don't want it to be the same size. So I'm going to make this one go vertical next to it. And I will tell you that for me, I love tearing up, papers that I've made, and we'll do a whole nother workshop on how to make paper specifically for collage. But if I want to collage something and not have to think about it, maybe I'm stressed, or maybe I'm just so tired and worn out, but I want to sit down and create, and I want to just relax. There is nothing easier than sitting down with offcuts, or even taking a few pieces of paper from the same paper pack and just cutting them up into random small pieces, because I don't have to think about it. I know every single paper is going to go together. Now, these are papers that I stuck in this pouch, and they're all neutral. So, odds are they will pretty much go together, but not necessarily. I might not like them all together. They're not from the same paper pack. So does that make sense?
Yes.
Because if they're from the same paper pack and I know that they coordinate, I don't have to think about anything. All I do is fit in the different pieces of paper. Okay. Now, if I put another one, I've got words going horizontal, even though I'm going to have to adjust this camera. Words going horizontal, but my piece is going vertical. This one's vertical. I'm just going to make sure that it's not the same width and it's not the same height. So I'm going to go right up past that one. And sometimes if I'm not really sure, I'll set it down and I'll grab another couple pieces and put them up there and see if I like them together. But again, if they're from the same paper pack, I love that because I really, truly can just relax. I don't have to think about whether they will look good together. They always do. They always, always, always do.
May I make a suggestion?
Sure.
If you feel like it's getting very blocky and everything's the same size, it helps if you turn it around, or like whether you just turn it clockwise 1 degree, you know what I mean? So just turn it and start.
Or turn it this way.
Yep.
Yep.
So that you can see what you're doing.
Yep.
But you're sort of starting over again. So you can see at a different It just makes your vantage point different, and
Yes,
you might
great
see something you
suggestion.
didn't see before.
Great suggestion. So I'm noticing here that I've got lines. There's words in here, but I've got lines. There's words here, but it also appears like lines. And even though these are all neutral, I'm looking at this. This is lines. This is music, but it's still lines. This one's lines. I don't want to just have paper with lines, lined up. And that I don't want it to look that way. So I grabbed that B paper and cut that just into some odd scraps. Here's some music. That's good. Here's some solid. That's good. Okay. So, and this is a perfect piece to show. All right. So, those out of the way. And I don't like it next to that brown. So I'm going to wait and put it somewhere else. Oh, good. This one's good next to it. So I need something other than lines. There's some lines in here, but the music's bigger than the lines, and the music is really randomly hand drawn. So that looks pretty cool. Now, if I do that, then I have to piece a piece in here, which I can do, and I have done, will do, but maybe I do this instead. But maybe I just set it here and then go about finding whatever else I'm going to find and let's see what we can do with some bees. They don't all have to be big, giant pieces. There, we could put bees right there. Don't want it to be the same height as that, although it can be. Sometimes if this one comes up high, then I'll want one to be the same height because then I can put one piece across. So if I put this down here, it's got a line, and if I put it here, it kind of looks like it's continuing the line. Sometimes that looks cool and I like it, but sometimes not. So I'm almost feeling like I don't have enough variety of random. What's this? What's this? Oh, like this. Look at that. This is cool. It's got all the hardware on it. So let's just cut up some of this in both directions. Tear it. If I was tearing, this is a piece to piece though. Paper piecing. So we'll just cut it up. And let's start getting some cool pieces of paper piecing in here. Yeah, something other than some words or lines. Here we go. So let's just start putting this in here. So going to the middle is great because then everything will feed off of the middle going out.
Yes.
And you don't have to worry about getting little pieces to fit in between other pieces, which you can do and is not a huge deal. But if you really want, once you do, I'm starting 3 sentences, not finishing any of them. Collaging is one of those things that a lot of us do just to relax. And the more you can use little tricks to make it easier for you to not have to think about anything, but just picking up any piece that fits and doing it, the more you'll be able to use it to relax.
And Marianne keeps saying fits, but if you start in the center and you're working your way out, if a piece of paper hangs off the edge, you can always cut it off.
And that's what I said at the beginning, is that it always fits, even when it gets to the very edge. The only thing that I don't care to do is when I get to the edge, this is okay, but I don't want to leave just this much. Right. Because then when I put the paper on and I cut it off, it's just going to be a teeny tiny piece there. And it's really easy for that piece just to keep, popping off. So I try not to do that. That's kind of cool, but I'm not going to put it next to that other metal. So and so when I say fit, that just means it fits in my eye to go next to it, not that it needs to fit. So this is light, this is light, this is light. I feel like there needs to be something a little bit darker there, but I feel like light can work here. We're here, but it still needs something dark here. So let me find some, and see this is the what you run into when they're not specific pieces, but they're just all in a neutral group. And some people keep their scraps or offcuts from each paper pack together. And the beauty of that is that when you do that, look, oh, that's the back side of that. So of course it goes good. When you keep the scraps from one paper pack together, you can sit down with all of them and know that you can grab any of them and stick them together, and they're going to look good. You just don't even have to worry about it. And that's really cool. I'm not sure I want that quite that long. Let's just cut a bit of that off and get this in here. Get these bees in. So often you need something that is solid to break the lines, break the patterns, break all the things, and just to get some more of that base color in there. But then sometimes, like the ones I showed you, sometimes you get through and you're like, I got this big old, thing of just solid color. I don't really like that. Or maybe even just lines. What do I do? Well, you can take a stamp and just stamp on it. You could do that before you even collage with it. Or if it was here and I wanted to stamp on it, I'd either choose a stamp, I thought I had a couple sitting here, that is small enough to fit on it. And I don't like get it really nice and then put it in the stamp press to make sure that it's a good solid stamp. I don't want that. I want it to be a little bit, dark here, light there, like it's just been there for ages and is fading off. Or I would take a piece of scrap paper and put it one on either side like that, because I don't want stamping on these. I want it to look like it was only on that paper. And then I would stamp on that, just press it down. And so if I happen to get any over the edge, it's on my scrap paper and it doesn't get on my collage. So see how I'm not worrying about it going over the edge. All I'm looking at is my composition there. So, and I try to make sure that I've placed each piece. If I have more than one of the same piece, so like this one, there's a couple of those. I have a bunch of these. Here's another one. Oh, nope, that's different. It just looks a lot. I've got multiple bees and I've got more of that. I try to make sure I place them at least one more place on the sheet. It gives a visual completion to the eye, basically. So if I decided that I like that and I wanted to seal it and use it as a book cover, then it's really a complete piece there. When I seal it up, it's good to go. I don't have to worry about, oh, gee, that's the only place there's stripes and that just really looks funny. It just sticks out there. You just don't have to even think about that. Maybe I don't want this down here because I got it down there, but maybe it doesn't even matter because, see, that one wasn't even cut straight. But if the next one goes over the edge, then it would be okay because it will just fill in. Or I can pick this up and put it over the edge of the bee right there and make it straight. If this piece is barely going to the edge. So I'm not going to keep this piece whole. As soon as we get through, then we're going to talk about how to use this, what you can do with it. And because, I do hear a lot of people say, well, okay, collage is great, but I don't need all these collage pieces. Then what do I do with them? I don't even like them. What do I do with them? And I will say that I have collaged pieces that I really didn't care for when they were done. So I might like the colors, but I might not like the composition that I have. And that's okay, because there are ways to use that. Yep. Thought it was going to tear straighter than that wasn't clean enough fold. So I'm anxious to get through this one and get to the torn one. Okay, so let's get this down. Go ahead.
You can stop it and get to the torn one.
Go to the torn one. Yeah,
and just cut it to have it like a size that's finished. That's the other thing. If you can't finish the whole entire sheet, but you have a corner of it done that you really like, cut it to that size.
And you can come back tomorrow and finish it. Nothing has to be done today. I do want to finish one because we want to talk about what we're going to do with them. We did promise that we would give you different ideas and ways, techniques of doing bases for ATCs. And we're going to show you here how you could whip out a bunch of ATCs that will amaze yourself. They always do. They always do. And I say that because they always do. Every time somebody does this, it's always, we've done some things at retreat that it's like an art challenge, and it's a way to open your brain, and you just have to do whatever thing comes up next. And it's not always in the order that you would normally do it. And sometimes it's really weird. And we get done and we're like, ugh, that's really awful. If I could have done that first before I did that over the top of it, it would have been great. But it just doesn't work that way. But we still like the color or whatever it is. And if we then take them and use them as ATCs or other things like that, we end up with something really cool, and we really like it. So this has been proven over and over and over again. I'm going to use some big pieces here because I want to finish this up. We can go to some torn. And I'm doing this. I know that it may feel laborious for a lot of you who already know how to collage and, are already doing it. But I hear from a lot of people that I look at the collages that everybody on the lives does, and they're so pretty and they're so beautiful, but I never like anything that I collage. I hear that more often than you would know or would think. And so the reason I'm doing this seemingly laborious technique is because this is a way to make sure that you will like it. If you're picking the color palette and then you pick the pieces that go wherever they're going to go, then the likelihood of you liking it is a lot higher. I'm going to put this down here. Now, if you get one of those, where's another one of those like solid colors? Here's one where I just took the piece of paper and was trying this paper punch around the outside edge. I don't know. It's just been sitting here forever. I haven't used it, but I can take that paper punch and cut off that little section and put that right over a solid piece of paper. And that would look really cool. And that's no longer just solid, right? Like there's one right there. So I like this right here, but there's a little gap there, right? So do I go, well, geez, I don't like that gap, so I can't use it. No, I'm going to use it. And then in the end, if I want to, I can either take a marker and color that in, or I can go over it with Distress Collage Medium, which will make that white look vintage. Or I can just ink it with Vintage Photo or Frayed Burlap or anything else that you like. All right, we're almost done with this one. Okay. Nope, don't want to put that right next to that one. How about this one? That would work there. Gonna need something right there. Let's put it that way. Okay. And I'm not gonna cut it down to size because we're trying to hurry. So I'm just gonna let it overlap the one next to it. No big deal. These are not super thick papers. If they're really thick paper, then I don't really like them to overlap because they may be too big of a difference. And it depends on what I'm going to use it for, honestly. Sometimes when they overlap, even when you seal it, it's too easy for the one on top to pop up, especially if you use it as a cover and there's some bend in it. Okay, so there's the collage. And I haven't cut anything off yet because I just want to give it a chance to completely dry while I'm doing the rest of it. So I'll go back to the first ones I did and I'll cut those first. Super easy. Go up to this one. I've got glue still here, so I want to try to give that a minute. Let me come over to this one. Okay. Glue. Hopefully not going to fill the paper trimmer with glue right now, but if it happens, I'll clean it off. Okay, so there's the collage. And you might have done it this way and then go, oh, I like it much better that way or this way. You know, it all depends on what you want to use it for. Okay, so now what do you do with it? You can use it as a book cover. You could sew on every piece that you've placed there, placed down, and use it as a book cover. And that looks really, really cool. You can also cut it into tags, or one of our favorites is to cut it into ATCs. So, all right, where did I put the lid? Bueller. I don't know. It'll pop up. It'll pop up. Okay, so if I'm cutting this into ATCs, I don't want to look at this because that's going to influence my brain. Where am I going to cut it? And I'm going to think about it too hard. I really like doing this on a 12 by 12 because it gets much bigger and you've got more pieces of paper to fit into each one. But I'm going to turn it over this way and I'm going to say ATC is 2.5 by 3.5. And I know this is 8.5. So if I go 3.5 and 3.5 is 7, then I'm using all but one strip. And then I can go 2.5 all the way down, right? Okay, so I'm going to go right here and I'm going to go 3.5 and cut off a 3.5-inch strip. And you can use a bigger paper trimmer. You do not have to use a mini one. Okay, there's one. And there's where it was overlapping, obviously, because that was pretty thick. Okay, there's 2. So now I know it's 3.5 tall, and now I just need to cut them into 2.5. 1. 2. 3. 4. I'm not even looking at which end I'm starting at. You could say, oh, I really like this end. I want to make sure I use it, so I'll start at that end. If you really like the randomness, because those little parts and pieces that you're cutting off are also usable. And 4 out of this strip means I have a total of 8 ATCs right there. There's 8 ATC bases all ready to go. So you may pull out a collage that you don't really like, and then you cut it up. And I always turn it around and look at it every way. It completely changes the look. That's cool. Now, I think that I would want to take some of this and put it on that little brown one right there. This is white paper with brown polka dots. So it's perfect on that because it's a large piece in this small setting. That one also has a lot of just one piece. So this is where I might go back to those little thumb notch cutoffs. Might even take something like this and add this on in a variety of ways. I could make a triangle right there and then just cut that off. You know, I could put a thumb notch or I could put a triangle right in the center. I really kind of like that, stopping right at that line and make that go point, make it go point to point. And that would completely change the look. So you can do anything with them once you've got the ATC size, but it is completely different to work with. Okay, so how quickly you can make one, as long as you start with papers that are in the same color family, and if they're from the same paper pack, even faster. Put them down, cut it up, and you've got ATC bases ready to go. Now, the other thing you could do with those is make tags instead of ATCs. But if you're doing it on 8.5 by 11 and you get just a few offcuts, what did we get? We got this one, and this one. I would take these 2, cut the corners, and turn them into mini tags. Either way, your choice. And this one, you could cut in half. You could cut it in thirds and make 3 mini tags, or cut it in half and make 2 bookmarks. Or this could be a great belly band, or it could be a page edge with something else attached to it, a flip out. So lots of things you can do with those offcuts too. Don't throw these away. Parts and pieces there. Okay, so let's do a torn one. I know a lot of you are itching to do torn. Christy, just reading Christy's comments there. Okay, so Christy, you felt like that's putting too much thought. So you just lay down paper and then it never ends up looking like this. And that's exactly why I did that, because if I just take out my whole scrap bucket and I start laying down paper, I never like it. It never ends up looking like that, and I don't like it. And even when I cut it up, I've got weird colors together that I just don't really care for. And, you know, I totally understand that. So that's why my biggest tips are, first, just start with colors that are in the same color family, or even better, start with a couple pieces of paper that are torn or cut from the same paper pack, so that you know first the color is going to be pleasing to your eye. That's half the battle right there, is that all the colors that you put together are pleasing to your eye. And so if you only start with 2 or 3 pieces, let's see, I need another paper to collage on. I will go ahead and do another white one. Scrap paper there. Okay. So now we're going to tear paper. And I didn't use any of this tissue paper on the last one. Probably should have, but I'm going to. I really like the way that this one tears. And so I want those edges to be on top of something else that is torn. So let me pull out a few things. Pattern, not patterned, and whatever. And we can use even some of the same. Let's use some of these same pieces. That one, oh, that's kind of cool. That's cool, goes with it. Let's see, a little bit of the B paper we still have. This would work, this would work. Okay, we still got enough to work with here. We haven't used, we didn't even use a lot of those on the last one. So same thing though, I'm just gonna tear one piece and lay it down somewhere. And when you're collaging, where you're tearing and collaging, I know they're going to overlap. They're going to purposefully overlap. And so it doesn't even really matter where you lay it down. And if I'm telling myself I'm going to use this for ATCs or for tags, and I'm going to start with a piece, I'm going to tear the whole thing, because even if I tear it into smaller pieces, I still want it all to be torn. And you know that when you're tearing, if you tear towards yourself, the piece that you're going to use, then the white that's torn off is on the back instead of on the front. It's on the front of the other one. I'm sure you already know that, but just in case. Okay, so I'm not going to start with a piece. That is until you tear 2 that you're going to use both of them. Then either you put it down, doesn't matter, because you let the next one overlap it. So yep. I'm not going to start with this one up in a corner though. Absolutely, for sure, I'm not. Because if I know I'm going to cut this into ATCs, what is that? Roughly an ATC right there with a tiny bit of something else. I don't want a solid one on one ATC. So I'm either going to come over here where I know it's going to be a part of 4, or, you know, something like that where I know it's not going to all be on one ATC. But that's the only kind of criteria I look at that to start. If I know, I don't always know what I'm going to do with them. But if I know I'm cutting this into ATCs or tags, I don't want it all to be one piece of paper on that ATC, because I could just take this and cut 2.5 by 3.5, you know, and start right there. So tearing takes longer because you have to tear all the paper. But, you know, that also can be stress relieving if you need to tear paper instead of punch a wall or hit somebody else. Paper is good. It's only paper. We don't care. Tear it up. I like the paper that has the fibers that go the right way, and when you can just do this and the whole thing tears so nicely. And I don't want every piece to be exactly the same size either. So I'm going to, do I care if the words are upside down or not? Probably not. But I noticed I was putting it upside down, so I changed it.
And as you're going, you can always take one tiny little piece
Yes.
and put it in a corner, or put it in the center of one of the things, or put it, just to,
What is that?
hide a little white spot you
Yeah,
see.
good idea. You
If
like
something
this?
is too
It's shaped
big,
like that.
add something on top of it.
You could put that in a corner. And I know that might be the offcut end. And so that would be part of an ATC, or that might be the end I cut. I could purposefully choose either way. It's still only going to be half of the ATC, or we could use that side. But if you really like that piece and it's already cut in that triangle, why not? Go for it. Go for it. Bad jokes. What you gonna do? Sylvia, how's it coming?
Grown.
Oh, we've been chasing a squirrel all day around here. We have a squirrel that lives in the trees in the backyard, and Lucy just loves him. I don't know what it is, and it's so much fun watching her play with it.
It's a pest. That's what it is. It's a
squirrel?
pest.
Oh no, it's so cute. And it runs back and forth from tree to tree, and Lucy runs along with it, and they talk. And I can only see it in the winter when there's no leaves on the tree. Lucy can see it year round, but when it's full of leaves, I have a hard time finding the squirrel. But I feed
mine pecans and almonds so it'll stay out of my daffodil bed.
Now this one isn't torn, okay? And if I want them all to look like they're torn, I just put on the edge because it was that exact shape. Then I'm going to make sure that my next couple overlap the straight edge, and then you won't know that one isn't torn. So put it any way you want. I might even just put a little, I'm going to have to tear a little one. Yeah, you can sit down and tear up pieces ahead of time too, because that's the only thing for me is it's a lot faster. If I want to get rid of a whole bunch of scraps, and let's see here, if I want to get rid of a whole bunch of scraps and I know that I'm going to sit down and collage, and I want to use up a lot, I'll often do it straight line because it's faster for me. It's faster to cut the straight line than it is to tear all the pieces of paper, because it does take time to tear paper. And they don't all, these kind of were torn square because they're regular pieces, but they don't need to be. They don't need to be square. And I'll usually end up with a tub of glue. I have a little jar. It's just like a mason jar, a pint jar. And I just put some tacky glue in it. And Toby, this is one of my favorite things for collage, especially when I'm doing like this, but I left it across the room, so I'm not going to grab it.
I have mine.
But it's just a pint jar with tacky glue. I put 50% tacky glue and 50% water and just mixed it up really well. And I just keep it in that jar. And if I'm doing it this way, when I tear it, I'll just sit down with that and I spread tacky glue on a whole section there. And then just start slapping things down. And if it dries before I get to that section, I just put some more down. But all these cut pieces are turning out to be square torn. So I'm going to have to change that real fast, because they can't all be. So like that. So, all right. So those of you who are collaging along, are you doing, or how many have you done so far? Are you doing torn, or are you doing
a mess?
Are you cutting and doing some paper piecing, or are you tearing and doing random piecing? Sylvia, what are you doing?
I'm doing random because I like beige or neutral colors, because I can either draw a scene over them or stamp over them or collage even bigger over them, or cut them up into ATCs or cut them up into tags or use them for journal cards. And that's it.
Love that. Yep. Love that. And those of you who do like to draw, that what she said is really absolutely wonderful, because you can draw. There's plenty of room on these solid ones that you could actually draw your own things. You could actually journal on them if you were thinking of it, in that regard, as journal cards.
Yes. you can use these as bases for so many different things.
Yes,
Really.
absolutely.
Just like that thing that you made us do. You made us do. You prompted us to do the other night with the accordion fold.
Oh yeah, the grungy accordion book.
Yes, and that means your only obstacle is, not knowing how to. If you don't know how to do a tag, then that's going to stop you. But everybody knows how to do a tag, so these can turn out into great tags.
Anything,
small, big, little. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. The fun part about doing the neutral is that when you go to use it, you can add more pieces of collage or a piece or two on top of it with a pop of color.
And just a pop of color, exactly. And that's enough.
Or it might be your embellishment. You got a whole neutral thing, and then you add a pop of color that goes with whatever you're, using it in. And that pop of color can make a tag or an ATC. Just boom. See, this tissue paper is really better when you brush over it, not just under it. So that is hard to do with fingers. I should use a brush on it, but I didn't bring a brush over right now, so not going to worry about it. The other thing that I can do is if I've got some straight edges here, I don't have to tear them all. I can just make sure that that straight edge goes over the edge. And as long as it goes over the edge, then I'm going to end up cutting it off straight anyway. So now I'm starting to slap it down. I do like when all I have in front of me is things that I know coordinate to my eye, and I don't really have to think about which piece I'm grabbing. Just any of them. Just use them. And tissue's awesome. Put it by itself. Now, you may be thinking, okay, that tissue, it looks really white. But when I'm done, if I go over that with Distress Collage Medium, it's going to vintage that. Or I can do a little bit of vintage photo or frayed burlap or something even a little lighter, a tea dye or something, just to make it not white. And this one already has that color built in. So, sometimes you know what you're going to do with them, and sometimes you don't know what you're going to do with them, and you just start, collaging to use up the papers.
That's just like having a husband. You never know what to do with them. Sometimes you know what to do with them, but then
sometimes
the cops will come.
Yes, but then things will be filed. Neighbors will be asked to testify. Yeah, it's a whole mess.
It's a big mess. So we don't.
It's a big mess. Yeah. Tearing paper is way easier.
Yeah. It's way less risky and way less costly.
Yes.
Yes.
And nobody asks you to explain. That's funny. I don't have to explain why I tore paper. I don't know why they always ask me to explain why my husband's out in the cold naked. I just don't know.
I don't know. Don't know.
I mean, don't they end up that way? What is this with people not knowing?
Amen to that. And the truth is, once you do it once and you do it again and again and again, you get more comfortable with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Then you say, wow, I never thought of that. Why didn't I do this before?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you do, the better you get.
Yep.
The easier it comes, the easier it flows.
Yep.
I mean, we're still talking about collaging, not the other thing.
Talking about collaging.
I was going to say.
Thank you.
That's funny.
Thank you for keeping me on the straight and narrow, John.
No wood chippers and collaging.
How's Miss Jen doing? Is she just
Jen,
watching?
Are you collaging, or are you just resting? I know you had to go to work today, so that's
I forgot. I forgot about that.
Yeah, there's that. Oh, there, maybe that'll take care of my corner right there. And I don't even worry about if I got glue on the whole thing and it's staying down. I'll wait till I cut it up to what I'm going to use it as. And then if little edges come up and they need to be glued down, then I glue them down.
And I don't mind doing half of them because if I've drawn, or can you put mine up so you can see?
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
So this looks like it's peeking out from behind here. So I can always tear this off and use it on a journal page, use it.
So you collaged
somewhere.
part of the piece and then drew on part of it a tree that looks like it's a bush. Is it a tree? Yeah. Like a tree.
Well,
that's coming out. From I like it.
289 trees.
Oh, we're staying on here. We're staying on here so you get 11 more trees drawn.
Oh no.
We are going to support you.
No, not tonight. I still have to finish what I yeah. No.
We want you to meet that goal.
Well, and that's why I gifted myself. You know, a lot of people resist resolutions because, you know, they put exercise as being a thing.
Yeah.
And then they feel like they fail or whatever. And I've gifted myself many times time to finish what those goals are. Because sometimes life gets in the way.
If you hadn't set the goal at all.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So you need another month to do 300.
Well, and the deal is, you know, you don't beat yourself up. Not yourself. You go, you know, tear up some paper, or, you know, I don't want to say kick a dog, but the dog could also be,
just tear
could
up
be yes, just saying. But you know, gift yourself for yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, who else gives you time? You always have to make the time, and we're the ones that are always making the time for everybody.
Everybody except ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that what I just showed you was Glennis's. I almost put Glennis and Jen together. That's a new name.
Janice.
Jen. Yep, exactly. Glenn or Janice. Yeah. And this one looks like she's doing it on paper, brown packing paper. That's cool. Yes. I like it.
She's so good.
Yep.
She's so good.
I'm glad you're feeling up to doing something. That's all I have to say. It's horrible to be still. Margie's working on goals from 1976, but she hasn't. But she hasn't given up. Dang it.
Okay, one more thing. I applied twine randomly across this page, and then I'm going to fill it in and probably overlap over the twine.
Oh, cool. I like that.
That way it gives a dimension.
Yeah. That gives dimension, and since I don't have my fabric right at hand, I'm only using what's on the desk.
Yep. That's a whole nother thing. Sit down and try to use just what's on your desk. I do like doing that after I complete a project, though, because almost everything there is going to, you know, coordinate together in some way, whether it's paper or yarn or fabric,
something,
fibers, some kind of.
Yeah.
And you can make the pieces as big or as small as you want. There's nothing that says anything about what you have.
They wrote a song about it. It goes like this: "You can do whatever you like."
We're gonna have to learn that one. You can do whatever you like.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I do.
As long as it's legal.
And happy paper people, as long as you're not hurting someone else, you can do whatever you like.
There you go. There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's barely reaching the top. It's reaching.
So if you want to put mine on, I can show you a couple things.
Everybody's on.
Yes. Done.
I am on. Okay.
You are on.
So I did a bunch of small ones. This I used, where am I? I used a card, and when you test your computer, your printer, I had I put one up in the corner, and then I tore the other one up. but then I used what was on my desk to put just some straight things down. So this is straight
cool.
and torn.
Cool.
I liked seeing some of the grid underneath it,
Uh-huh.
but you can tell because I used the same thing again, meaning I've used two
Right.
things.
Right.
That and the paper that I used is the these from the top of the paper. So I knew they all went together.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my little one that I did. Another one that I did, this
So,
is all with thin things.
yeah.
Tissue paper.
Tissue paper, napkins.
I put it on top of a black and very dark striped piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
You can see some of it coming through right there.
Cool.
Yes, I see that.
And what it does is it
Changes.
changes it. And it
Mhm.
changes the colors of the stuff you're putting down.
Yes, it's cool.
Because, and I did leave some of that paper for underneath it.
Nice.
Because I liked that. Now this is one that I was actually literally just standing here playing with it. This is another note card. In the back is something from a catalog. It was just trees. Down here is part of a napkin that was grass and stuff. This right here in the center was actually a painting from a magazine. So what I did is I put the background down and then I put the painting from the magazine on top, and then I put the tissue paper over the edges, the cut edges of that, to make it not as cut. You know what I'm saying? So I used the tissue paper to extend the edges of the picture.
Right.
So that's another thing you can do. If you find a picture, and this will be a very extensive creative time.
Deep dive.
Really deep dive. If you take a really deep dive and say, for instance, you find a picture that you really like this, but you want it to be your own. You take and you find a dark red piece of paper that's that size and you put it on top of it. So you're just basically placing your things right on top and it changes. But that's when you're going and you're looking for colors and you're matching up colors and all that.
You're basically doing the composition.
Yes.
Exactly as you would like it. So you mentioned something that paper when you tested your printer, and that reminded me of recently, Sylvia, you ran out of printer ink and it was only, or the printer was dying or whatever, and it only printed in green or yellow or
green. Yes.
Yeah. So when I ran out of ink, mine was only printing in yellow. And so I kept those and I tore them up.
I sure did too. Yes. Yeah. I too. Yep. Yes.
And they're cool with collage because
yes, they are.
They just add a little bit of that color and you can't see, what they are. They're just color pops.
Just color pops. Exactly.
They're not very bright usually because it's running out,
Yeah. But it's just enough.
Yeah. Go. Just enough for the weird color.
Exactly.
Maybe it was supposed to be a blue sky, but now it's a yellow sky. And you're like,
you
know what? That's just weird enough to be cool to put into it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Love it.
There's a lot of other things we can do, like piecing paper to actually make a picture. So you can draw, a bird or a tree, or we could take a picture out of a magazine or a stencil you have, or, whatever it is, and have a bird or a tree or anything actually. And then you can tear up, and this is where gel prints are really great because you make them any colors you want. And you tear up little pieces and you collage them onto that bird, and you can make different colors of wings. And then you've seen these, you guys have all seen these. And then you step back and you see the whole bird and you see all the cool little colors that are in there from all the little pieces of paper that you tore up and collaged on. So that's something we've never done on the live. We could do. There's a lot of other techniques. Dawn, do you have your ATCs handy?
Yes.
Those aren't ATCs, are they?
These are not the size of ATCs because this was what was left on when I cut the ATC sizes off.
Okay,
so this was my demonstration.
Okay. So she's going to show you a technique that you can use if you want to just take 5 pieces of paper and they all coordinate in color. Might be the front of one, the back of another, you know, whatever it is, but 5 pieces of paper that all coordinate in color, and you want to be able to collage 5 ATCs, every one of them be different, but they could all go in the same journal, or you could make it a tag instead of an ATC. She's going to show you how to do that. So what she's putting out first, I'm going to make her large. What she's putting out first is the bases for the 5 ATCs, and she doesn't even care what color they are because she's going to cover them up. She's collaging on them.
Right. So then what I have is I have 5 ATC size pieces of paper here. These are ATC size. What I did is I just cut 2 of each one. So we know that it's going to be that on the other side.
One is the base and one is the one that you're going to use
and one is the ones I'm going to cut.
Okay.
So what I do is I take 2 of them and I keep them in the same order. In fact, I'm going to keep these in my hand. I'll do a magic magician's hold, which would be between a different between different fingers. And I'm going to just cut the corner off of this one.
A pretty big corner though, right?
A pretty big corner. Pretty big corner past the middle. And then because I don't want to mess up my stream the way I am, is I'm going to put those 2 down on the first 2 things here. So those we know go there. Then I'm going to take and use the 2 that I cut for the other 3 because depending on what type of paper you have, you want them to be exactly the same.
If you can cut through all 5, cut through all 5. But if she's using cardstock and it's a little harder, or your hands can't do it, or your scissors, then you want to cut through like 2 at a time and then 3 at a time. But notice she said that you make sure you keep them in your hands so that they're exactly the same.
The exact same, the way
size.
Yeah.
The piece you cut off is the exact same size. So what she's doing is taking 5 cards. She's going to divide each one up into 5 pieces, and she's going to take 1 piece from each. Keep doing it while I'm talking. She's going to take 1 piece from each card and put them together to make a whole new card. It's a real magic act. And have 5 brand new ATCs that are all collaged, and they coordinate because she knew the 5 ATCs all coordinated before she started cutting them apart. And it doesn't matter what color the base is underneath because it's going to get covered.
And you always start with the next one. So I started the first one with the first one here, and then I started the second one with this one, and it's like a round robin.
Yeah, if you do the first one on the same one each time, then it's going to get all of the 5 pieces from the same card. So does that make sense? If you lay out 5, the first piece you put down, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The second piece you put down, you go 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. The third piece you put down, you go 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. The fourth piece, she's putting the third piece now. So she started on, she numbered them backwards. She went from right to left.
I'm sorry.
So, so if that's confusing you, she went kind of in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
Like she went right to left, 1, 2, 3, and then the second row left to right, 4, 5. So now
I only have 1 more cut to do, and then I'll have both of mine. So I'm just going to cut right straight from the center here.
There you go.
And it's totally random. I'm going to put this one down so I don't have to think about it. It's just going to stay right there.
So this is the fourth piece, right?
Right. So I already have a stripe here. So you know that this one doesn't have a stripe. So that's the next one that you need to start.
So she starts on number 4, then number 5, and then number 1, 2, and 3. And then the 5th piece is automatically what's left. So she starts on number 5. And then number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And look at that. Then all she has to do is glue those down. And she's got 5 beautiful ATCs, all coordinated in
All coordinated.
2 minutes.
Yep.
Look how fast that is.
Thank you, Dawn.
Yeah, I like that. That is a piece of paper so huge.
So then I just pull them off like this, where they go.
Perfect.
And then I
Glue up the whole thing.
have a
Glue jar.
glue
A
jar.
glue jar also.
And mine has got the rubber ring around it, so it keeps it airtight. And it also if it does get glued down, if you pull the tab here,
Oh yeah, it breaks the seal.
it breaks the seal and you
Love
can
that.
open it. So this is, once again, this is the same, this is Eileen's
Tacky glue.
tacky glue
That's what mine is. Yep.
broken down with water.
50-50 with water because it's
50.
cheap glue and it's perfect for collaging. You do not need to use your expensive glue for collaging.
Right.
So don't think that you do.
You can do the same with Elmer's, but not with the school glue. It's got to be the Elmer's, I can't remember what they call it. Just regular glue, but it's not the school. The school
Okay.
glue is already watered down a little bit.
No, because I don't use it, so I don't know which that is. I'm sorry.
Right.
Is that a craft glue?
No, it's not a craft glue. It's an everyday glue, I believe, is what it's called.
Okay.
Elmer's school glue already has it
Watered.
watered down.
Okay. So if you get school glue cheap in bulk, then the great. You don't even need to water it down. But
Right. I would do it. I would do it.
And
Yeah, 3 dozen.
50-50. It makes it last a long time. And those jars are great. We just keep them sealed up in our craft room. I've had mine for a few years. And when it gets low, I just add more 50-50 water and glue. And, just keep adding to it. And it's always, if it happens to get a little thick, just add a little bit more water.
More water. Yep. And so if you happen to see, I didn't quite get it right. It's not even. You know the color underneath, at least on these, matches.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Or you can take a marker and draw in there, or you
mark
can
it like this. I did a gold one, like in
yeah.
when the Japanese put pottery back together, they
Right.
use gold between them. So I used a gold marker. I did a really thin black on this one, and it's just a swipe of the underneath.
Yeah. Or if you know you're going to embellish it, you might put an embellishment over that and not even worry about it. Jen
Right.
said it's Elmer's Glue All. Thank you, Jen.
Glue all, thank you. Glue all.
Elmer's Glue All.
Yes. That's what it is. So this
Okay.
one is done the way, you fit it right together. Now this
So,
one right
yeah.
here, I'm going to do it a little tiny bit different, but we know that an ATC is 2.5 by 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to put all my glue on because it's a small piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that this one goes in the corner, but I'm going to actually move it out a little bit. So see how it's hanging over the edge? You're going to cut that edge off at the end. So you hang them all over the edge so they've got the color in the background intentionally.
There you go. So she's purposely leaving space between every single one of them. And then the color from your paper beneath comes through. Yes, kintsugi. That's the art of putting the pottery back together with the gold, and that makes it stronger. I love that whole thing.
So there is one with
awesome. So go ahead and trim it up, and then they can see what it looks like. So yeah,
I do like to put an extra thing to hold the edges down.
Yeah. Even making 5 from the same papers, she can make every one of them different because the color underneath it is different because the back of each one of those, or put black between it or gold between it, or don't leave a space. She can make 5 different ATCs in the same color family or color combination.
I'm going to wait for that glue to dry because it's getting pretty thick and sticky.
Yeah, you did put that right over the top.
I did. I did.
I always do the same thing.
Yep.
I should cut it first and then do the glue, Marianne, but no, the glue's the finishing, so I go straight to the glue.
You also could twist them a little because they go in the corners, or how they go.
Mm-hmm.
And
it has glue too.
And you don't have to.
Still in the same position, but I've twisted them all a little bit, and that gives you some extra space to maybe add, something else.
Sylvia?
And just remember not to be shutting all over yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have to should.
And that's the thing about collage. There is no should, because there's no rules. There's no right. There's no wrong. Collage is collage, and it is whatever you did. That is collage. It's right.
And if you don't like it, you can put gesso over it and do something else.
Or if you don't like it, grab another piece of paper and put it over the piece of paper you didn't like.
There you go.
You can change any of it or all of it.
You can do whatever you like.
That's right. I love that. That's HPP theme song.
Yay. We have a theme song.
And that is awesome.
And if you don't want to put glue all over the back, you can also just do it on the piece that you need to put it on. It's less messy that way. I like to peel glue off my hands, therefore I don't mind.
Isn't that the coolest thing when you peel
love it.
glue?
Well, it is when it peels off whole and you can get done with it, but when it doesn't, and you got all the little bitty, gathering up, then it's kind of a pain.
So when you get sunburn and your skin peels, not to where you're damaging yourself, but when your skin peels, Hawaiians call it haole rot. Haole is
rot.
Haole is what a stranger or someone who's not from the land,
right?
So it's not derogative to Caucasians. It's just haole. You're not from the land.
Okay. So
it's called haole rot.
Anyone who's not native, rot.
Yeah.
You're rotting and peeling. That's kind of funny. Now, I don't know. I'm going to cut this into ATCs, but I don't know if it's going to cut very well because some of these papers, like this handmade cotton paper and some of the tissue papers, they don't cut well on paper trimmers. And then you need to use scissors. So I'm going to try the first cut and hope I don't completely destroy it with that. And if it doesn't cut, I'll just mark it and go to scissors. But if it doesn't cut, don't worry and don't think it's you, but not all paper or fabric is going to cut.
Just remember, everything's like our children. They don't obey, they don't listen, they don't do what we're tell them to do.
And in the end, you're in charge.
That's right.
One way or the other, it's going to be done your way.
You tell that paper what to do.
There you go.
Jen did put a very good thing in the chat. If you guys want to go ahead and read that, I'm not going to read it out loud. I think you guys can, pass first or second grade at least to be able to read it. But that too is something that I do a lot of. Is if I don't like something, let me see if I can find something that I didn't like, and then I added something to it.
Yeah, you can cover up any little spot. I mean, sometimes your eye goes straight to something you don't like. You don't like the composition, and your eye goes straight to something, and that something rubs you wrong. You know what you don't like, so cover up the thing that's rubbing you wrong.
So here, I had a really long line with 3 things in it against one long line. It was driving me mad. I couldn't. I had to put something here, so I found this little square. And that broke up all of those lines.
That's why I often use those thumb notches.
Yep.
Or keep those little squares like that are offcuts off the edge.
Yep.
Oh, please. You're talking to the woman of scraps right here. I keep everything.
everything.
So you can see that I did this as a square one, you know, a cut one.
Mm-hmm.
But I did add, for instance, on top of all of the, like right now I'm looking at this and this is it's too blocky to me. Something needs to go across here. So I probably will find something to go across there, but I've already cut this to make it a cover.
But once you've collaged it, you can, I mean, anything you add on to
You
it,
can
whether
add
it's
on to it as you go.
or embellishments or whatever, you know, that's just enhancing it and making it better as you go.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that your collage wasn't good or you don't know how to collage or you don't do it
You know,
well.
a piece of lace across there would look really
Yeah.
pretty when I go to
yeah, I
the
need to do
cover.
some lace.
So,
Thank you.
Oh, a little piece of lace down, it's a, you know, long strip of paper, and
yeah.
especially where you see that line, if it's like this, I put one straight line on that whole thing, that on one of those corners, and there it is right down there. So, you know, a piece of lace that goes right down the straight line does wonders.
So
Yes.
Marianne was talking about how I have these boxes and I do collage most of them. Today, this is the box that I did. I had just broken up a whole bunch of magazines, and one of them was an art magazine, and one of them was about New York City. Now, I like the juxtaposition of a city and a country, or you know, landscape, and then the big skyscrapers. So this one right here is actually a city in an ancient city in Italy, because the Italian flag is here someplace. There it is. And then this was a seaside picture of somebody who did it, and it was of here in North Carolina. So that brings my love of Italy and the beach at North Carolina. And you see how I just did the straight stitches, the straight lines, but I just broke them apart. Right here on this side, what I did is that these pieces right here were longer than these. So I just put one long strip from a magazine, and it was of a winter scene, and I pulled those over it. So it looks the same as this, but it was done with one whole strip there and then the others put over the top.
Love it.
Yeah.
This is New York City and the other half of that painting of North Carolina.
Wow.
Very cool.
And then this is the one I love the most. This is Rockefeller Center, right?
Yep.
The ice skating in the winter. And then it's a very linear picture. So it's very up and down because of that. So I had it showed like what they started with down here, which was just a pen and ink drawing, and then they graduated up, and it was somebody doing one of these paintings. So I broke those up because it, you know, just did them the same way, but because there's transition between the four, the darker ones are up in the sky, so that still makes it look dark. The medium size ones are down, and it scales down. So that is another way you can do those things. This was just you know, something from a magazine put right over the brown paper.
And you know, even glossy pages from a magazine or glossy pages from a book, they work great.
2 flowers. I just cut them and then put them beside each other.
You know, flowers are a great one to paper piece.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of fun. And
so
you know, mine are looking pretty pale, and so I'm inking the edges to give them just a little bit of depth, and it's making all the difference in the world. And these are neutral, so I'm using walnut stain because I wanted a little bit darker. But if you're doing one with color in it, don't be afraid to ink the edges with color. It doesn't always have to be vintage photo or walnut stain or frayed burlap. Try, you know, a color that maybe is not the prominent color. You know, if you've got 3 colors in there, pick one that is not the most prominent and try inking the edges with that and see what you think. It can really, it's like putting a little frame on it and can really make all the difference in the world.
I'm about ready to cut that one and make it fit.
Make it obey.
Yeah. But I'm really doing a one that's really pulled apart and turned and not at all like what the original should have looked like. There.
Should have.
And if you get one of those white edges from tearing, just put a little ink over it.
Yep.
Put a little ink over the whole thing, make it look all whatever, dirty, grungy. So let's see, we got a couple people. Who else was creating? Don't forget to put your collages in the group.
Oh, please. Yes, I want to see stuff.
We love, 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 love. Its favorite part is seeing everybody's pictures from the things that you make, whether on the lives or not. If you decide to do this tomorrow when you wake up, or if you do some tonight, post them. You do some more tomorrow. You get on a roll and you start, using up all your scraps. Yeah, you can take a baggie, take a gallon baggie, and as you're creating and you go to put your scraps away, just sort them by color combinations that you like together. You don't have to have a baggie for every single color, but maybe you like certain combinations together. Sort them into those. And then you can. You don't have to.
Said the hoarder.
But just grab a baggie and sit down and start collaging. And you'll know that if you put them in there as combinations you like, that it's going to come out okay. It's going to end up being something that you're going to be okay with and be able to work with. I think
something beautiful.
So one thing I do is I keep our boxes from the monthly
subscription boxes,
and I collage or do whatever over them, and I have them labeled. These are all of the things that I've taken off my desk that are fabric scraps.
Cool.
There
and
you go.
Then I have ribbon scraps.
Nice.
And so I have these at hand at any time.
Yes, everybody's going, oh, great. Show us how organized you are and how unorganized we are.
No, this
No,
one is another collage technique that I've done.
What? She loves collaging. It is fun.
I absolutely
you
love
really
it.
enjoy it. And so that's a good reason to collect all the boxes that she collects. An excuse to collage more.
Yep. This is all my stamps.
Nice. Oh, I love that side.
Yeah.
You get all organized at the same time as collaging and having fun.
Yep. This is my tissue paper, which is really light, but it's packed because it's tissue paper. And this is tissue paper and napkins, anything you can see through.
And if you have a little gap, like she was talking about, a gap between, or where I showed you that I use the vintage collage medium, you don't always have to do that. Sometimes a piece of washi. So,
right.
Yes. I've been using my washi. Yes.
Yep. And I always put glue down and then put the washi down because I don't want it to come up. I want it to be collaged on.
Or if it's a small enough, you could actually just take tissue paper or just something really small, and it would go over that spot, but it would also be able to see through, and it would just add extra texture to what you're doing.
And if you have as much washi as I do, you could actually collage the whole thing on washi with washi.
Right.
Amen, sister.
Oh. And we brought up the subscription box. So that reminds me to tell you, we haven't scheduled the live box opening yet because I don't know yet exactly what day the boxes are going out. However, I want to tell you this for January, all of you who are receiving a box in January, please, please, please do your very best to be to the live box opening. It is going to be very important to be at the live box opening to get some additional information that you are going to want. that goes
Is
along.
that right?
Yes, that is right. It is right. I am so excited about this box.
I love all of our boxes. In fact, some of the stuff that I'm using tonight is from our boxes.
Great. You know what, Sylvia?
Mm.
Because you just love them. I
Yes.
promise you that January's box is exactly what you want.
Oh.
I am confident enough to promise you that January's box is exactly what you want.
Always wanted a winning lotto ticket. Thank you very much.
You are so welcome. Oh, that is awesome.
Now this is something that Marianne, she was putting all of her things down flat. But if you really want to change the look of something, wad it up, make it all crispy and crunchy, and then glue it on.
Or like Sylvia was putting some string down underneath it.
And then putting it on top.
Or yarn or ribbon or whatever, and then collaging over the top of that. You could do that to form a tree or anything you want. You know, you don't have to form anything, but just randomness. Especially
I covered some of the twine with paper.
Cool.
That had been, so I kept an S. Gee, I wonder why.
Nice.
And because I can always cut it up and put it in my journals or whatever.
Yeah.
I like it. I like.
Oh, and I did use some fabric ribbon. Live, laugh, love.
I like the way that whole thing ended up looking. That is really cool. That's a cool page. I like that a lot. That to me looks like an art journal page. That is worthy of art journal status.
Well, I like to put stuff in my journals because I have my winter journal that I'm still working on because it's going to take me through January. Then I'm going to have my February one, which it's ready. Because again, since I did those 12 months of journals, I have signatures, and all I have to do is, if I want to add more, I just make another signature and make it larger. Nice. So anyway, what I'm saying is this kind of stuff I like to stick in my journals, whether it's a corner, down in the corner where I doodle or put something like this onto a journal page.
Sylvia always gets my brain thinking more creatively as far as journaling, because she does stuff like that, you know, and I don't always think of stuff like that in my journal.
Well, I'm not always in my craft room, and sometimes I have to go places where I have to sit and wait, and I can take my stuff with me. Not big stuff, but just enough to glue, scissors, paper.
Yeah,
exactly. Let's see. I've got another collage from Glynis.
Of course you do. Love Glynis.
Ooh, and this one's all full of color. Let me go full screen so we can see. I think if I do that, there we go. Oh, I see teals and greens. And oh, pretty paper. Pretty paper. Yeah, and it doesn't even matter what size or shape you do. You know, I've got some scrap paper that's like, I don't know, it's some odd size. It's came off of a notepad from somewhere. So it's probably like 5.5 by 8 or something. Just do it and then cut it up. You know, make tags out of it. Doesn't matter how small or how large, because it doesn't have to stay that size. You could make something you really like and then cut it down to 8.5 by 11, fold it in half, and let it be a cover or a page in one of your journals or something. There's just so many things you can do with it.
So many things.
That is pretty, and some great color in there. Really like it. Let's see here.
Well, I did 3.
Nice.
Now I'm going to start cleaning up because I have an explosion behind me.
Hey, we weren't going to mention that.
No, I'm willing to pony up right before the live, ladies. I needed to refill my art glitter glue container, which is a little small one. And I always refill with the larger one. And what I didn't realize is I had left my pin off from the last time that I had been in my craft room. So I knew the tip was dry and I knew I needed to clean the tip, but I said, let me refill it first. Well, when I refilled, there was a little stoppage in the top itself. And all the art glitter glue down my hands, down the bottle, down on my pants. I glued my chair to the carpet, the wheels in my chair, because, you know, it moves. Got art glitter glue.
Yep.
So not only did I have to clean the tip, clean the clog, and then put everything back and cover it, but be fast enough to make sure that my chair did not glue down to the carpet.
So here in time.
So the Hispanic was in a bit of a panic.
Oh, and we're so glad you're here.
It's fun. It's I can't wait to see what everybody's done.
I need to fill my art glitter glue as well, and I
do it slowly. Take your time.
Reorganization, yesterday and today, and I'm not sure where I set my refill bottle. Oh, there it is.
Oh.
So I didn't know where it was the second that I needed it, and so I didn't refill it. And it's probably a good thing, because it probably would have happened to me too. I dropped my little bottle that I use no less than 4 times today. Just knocked it right off my elbow. And each time I'm like, quit setting it there, and then you won't knock it off with your elbow. What did I do? Yeah. So I have a feeling that if I had refilled it, I might have ended up in the same predicament. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't.
Well, and before anything else, Dawn Marie, thank you very much for sharing your different techniques with us, because I had not seen that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cut up and blah blah blah. That is really unique, and I had not seen that. Thank you very much for sharing that.
That is one of those old paper quilting, paper piecing, paper quilting.
Right.
Yeah, it is cool. But that's
it is.
Sometimes you've been doing something forever, or it's been around for 50 years.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
if nobody's talked about it recently, and then people have started doing this kind of thing, they don't know.
Yes.
So,
yes, let's go do slow stitch. I am so, what the heck?
Sylvia.
You weren't supposed to mention that, Sylvia.
Yeah, that's why she did. She learned what the trigger words are.
That's like a swear word. Slow stitch.
My mama taught me to how to sew by hand when I was a little girl.
Exactly. And I got my knuckles wrapped during that time too, because my stitches were not tight enough, not uniform, blah, blah, blah.
And there was nothing slow about it. You better get on it, girl.
Right. Put a button on in less than 5 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah. But like Marianne says, everything that was once,
give it a new name.
They just rename it. They just rename it.
Something new because we called it something different. Okay, so we've got we still have 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So let's talk for a minute about master boards versus collages, because this is another question, and I did a deep dive into this a few years ago because I could not figure it out. And like I said, everybody was calling this a master board, and then the next one called that a master board, and I'm like, they can't both be master boards. What is it? So let me just show you this. I forgot to mention it before I started cutting up, but this is the one that we just tried all the lunar paste on. I just cut it into ATC pieces. Look at these cool ATC backgrounds with metallic lunar paste on them.
Oh, I love lunar paste. Love it.
I do too.
I like it when Marianne uses it and then gifts it to me.
Hey, I got to get on that train. Where does that train start? Wait a minute.
Retreat,
Let me grab,
ladies.
yeah,
Oh, there we go. There we go.
over here. Okay, so let me say this, and I'll say it again, but listen very carefully. A masterboard is a collage. A collage is not necessarily a masterboard.
Yep.
Right? Does that
Right.
make sense, everybody? A masterboard is a collage, but a collage, being a collage, does not make something a masterboard. A collage is not always a masterboard. Right. Find these right here. Okay. So I sit down with these scraps and I say, I'm going to sit down and collage. And I collage a bunch of things. I collage this. Great. That's a collage. I like the colors, but this really doesn't look like much of anything to me. So I'm going to cut it up. They're tag bases or ATCs, and I can just build on it, right? Okay, there's a collage. Something else. Well, I really do like these colors. I even like the orange owl. I just don't really like the overall composition. So I'll cut it up, turn it into something else. That's a collage that I'm going to cut up. So maybe you look at this one and you go, I really like this one. I really like it a lot. And this is something that I would like to use over and over again as tag bases or ATC bases. You know, maybe not, but maybe for somebody. This is just an example. Okay, so I don't want to just cut this up and use it for something else because I want to be able to use it over and over again. I'm going to make copies of it. Right? Okay, I'm going to set it aside for a minute. Just hang with me.
Oh, I've got a good example of that.
Here we go. Oh, I like the colors. I like the Japanese stuff, but I don't really like this. So no, I don't want to keep that one. I just want to cut it up and use it. Well, that's got some cool stuff, and I could see using that over and over again in different ways. Maybe I would tear this one up and use it to collage. It's with itself in a different way. That might be cool. Okay. Then I look at these and I say, oh, all right. I love this. This is a good neutral. This is a great neutral for me to start every time I want to make, some ATCs or tags. Okay, that one. That one's my favorite. Here we go. I like this one. This is one that I would cut and I would use as tag bases or ATC bases. And if I had more than one, I would use it over and over again because it's a good neutral base and I could put any color on it to embellish it and put it in any journal, right? Okay, this becomes a master board. Okay, it is a collage, and now I'm going to deem it a master board. What is a master board? You're probably all old enough to remember when we all worked in an office or even in school, at college, where the boss said, will you get the master for the blah, 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 and go make 50 copies? So we'll have them for the meeting or pass them out to everybody. Okay, and then you made the copies, and what happened to the master?
It went back in a file.
Thank you. Went back in the drawer, back in the file. That's the master copy. You never used the master. That was the master that you always took from. So you would copy it again. When you run out of copies, you go get the master. So the master isn't used to cut up or do anything else with. The master is only used to create more of the same. So a master board in art is something that you have decided, I like this well enough that I want to use it over and over again. This is going to become my master board. It's really just a master, but again, it's one of those things that we had to give a different name. So this becomes the master board. I'm going to make copies of this. I'm going to scan it in, and then I can print out a copy anytime I want it, or just make copies, whichever you want. This is going to go into my drawer, into a file, and I'm going to keep it so that when I need more, want more, I can make more copies. This is my master. That's my master board. Does that make sense? So the master board is the same thing as a master copy that you want to reuse. If I want to reuse this over and over and I just like it and I'm going to cut it up and use it, it's a collage that I'm cutting up to use. It becomes a master board. If I decide I'm going to keep it as a master, I'm going to regenerate it, whether scanning it in or copying it, so that it can be used multiple times. It's really easy now to understand the difference, but the way people talked about it, I was so confused. And so if somebody says, I'm going to sit down and make a master board, they could do that. They could sit down and have in mind exactly what they want and create something that comes out exactly, as they want it. Here's their master board. They'll scan it in or make copies, and this stays in the file. They made a master board. You might also sit down and say, I'm just going to collage. And after you collage 10 sheets, you find 2 of them and you say, I love these 2. I would like to use these as masters that I could just always use as neutral card bases. So these 2 are going to become master boards. So they've been designated master boards after just being a collage. So I don't always know when I sit down to collage if I'm really going to love it when I finish. So I have a really hard time saying I'm going to sit down and make a master board, because as soon as I do that, I put pressure on myself, right? And I don't work well with art under pressure, because now I'm thinking, oh no, it's not going to be right. It's not going to be good enough. It's not, and that isn't art. There is no right. There is no wrong. It is what it is. It's whether I like it enough to want to use it over and over again. So I don't put the pressure on myself of saying I'm going to make a master board. I'll just sit down and collage. And when it's done, if I really, really like it, I might keep it as a master board. I hope I tried to make that easy. Is that really clear for everyone?
It is very clear.
Yeah, Margie has to bite her tongue all the time with the master board. And I didn't want to talk about a master board or do anything with master board until I understood what it actually meant. And then when I finally realized, figured it out, and then Margie confirmed that, yes, that was correct. So then I knew I was okay. If Margie said, you're right, it's okay, then you're on the right track. Because Margie's on
if I may just say one more thing, there's always lots of stuff out there that keeps us off balance, because we really, sometimes we're not exposed to all of these different things and sometimes we run into them by accident. Another one that used to confound me, but now that I know all the differences, is frankenpaper. I never understood that. And I didn't understand, were we supposed to make it look ugly so it would be like Frankenstein? or what was the deal? But again, once you and that's what I love that we offer here at HPP. Our confounders or our confusion gets straightened out somewhere down the line, and that's where all of us contribute and all of us help each other.
Sylvia, what is frankenpaper?
Now, see, I knew you were going to put me on no, ask somebody else.
And you don't have to answer, because it might still be confusion. And I totally get that. It's exactly like the master board thing. Okay.
Exactly.
So if I take a collage, I take this collage and I stitch around every piece of paper that I collaged. It becomes what some people call frankenpaper.
Exactly.
It's frankenpaper. Because Frankenstein has the stitches, right? That's
exactly
the only reason. All frankenpaper is a collage that's been stitched.
Exactly.
And you could do that with the sewing machine, or you could do that with a stamp. But that's, again, why can't they just say collage it and stitch it, or collage it and sew it?
And that's why sometimes when you see some of these YouTube videos and they go so fast with what they're doing, you sit in the audience and go, but wait.
Yeah, and frankenpaper is fun. I love these for covers, book covers.
Yes.
They're just awesome for book covers.
Yes. But again, that's what I love about this site, that we will all you have to do is ask a question. And if I don't know it, Marianne, somebody will
Nobody knows
know.
it. If I don't know
Dawn,
it, I'll call Margie.
Jen, Margie, Glennis, Candy. I mean, the list goes on. We're here to help.
So this is collaged paper strips, but as soon as I sew on it, now people call it Franken paper because it's got Frankenstein stitches.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yep.
Just collaged paper. Margie mentioned another pet peeve of everybody. Mod Podge. M-O-D. It's Mod Podge. It's not Mod Podge. And we hear that all the time. I even hear that on expert crafters, people who've been around for, many, many years. It is Mod Podge. And thank you, Margie, for saying that, because it reminded me that I wanted to show you this. I know some of you love Mod Podge and some of you don't love Mod Podge. And I was never a huge fan. And then I was placing an order for some other things, and I just happened upon this Mod Podge, and it says for paper. It's for paper Mod Podge. And it's matte. It's not shiny and glossy and shellacky. So Mod Podge for paper. So I got this little tiny one to try to see if I would like it. And I love it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not cheap, though. It's about the same as all our other glues. I have not tried watering it down, so I don't know how that works. But I love it. If you like Mod Podge and you would like some that's specifically for paper and that is matte, not shiny or glossy, let me know. I think I've got one to put in the shop because I just ordered the minimum that I had to, which was probably 2. So I tried one, have one to go in the shop, but I can order it anytime. So the places that I order all these things from, typically we're getting back in stride now. I typically place an order every other week, and I have it within a week. So anything in particular that you want, just let me know, and we'll get it at the HPP discount and have it within a week. So you know what? Really pretty with black and whites, wouldn't they? Wow. Okay, there's something about black and white that makes me want to do it straight lines. So I am purposefully tearing this one up. I'm going to do a black and white torn because I don't know what it is about black and white, but it makes me want to do straight cuts. So we'll see how I feel about it after doing this. So we are about 10 minutes to 8. Are there any questions? Another one is Barely Art is not Barely Arts, and there is no S. Barely Art is B-E-A-R-L-Y. It is there. That's why the container is shaped like a bear. Let's see if I can reach mine over here. The container is shaped like a bear. Like a honey bear, but it's full of glue. And it is Barely Art, like B-E-A-R-L-Y. Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. That's the refill. I have a lot of art glitter glue in stock. We have a lot of Barely Art glue in stock. We've got the precision tips. There's a lot of stuff that hasn't even made it to the. Well, those actually, I think those are already on the website. They're already on the website. But and that just reminds me again. Please try to watch for, and as soon as I know what date the boxes are going out, we'll get the box opening scheduled. But please try to be at the live box opening. Especially if you are receiving a January box, because there is information at that live box opening that you are going to want, you're going to need, actually. You're going to need it, so you want to come get it. So, and that's all I'll say about that. But what is the date today? Today's the 11th, so they'll be going out pretty darn soon.
Yay!
Monday's the 15th, right? Monday is Monday the 15th.
Okay, it's a number. I don't know.
I know. It's the only time that I'm really aware of what the
Let's
date
see.
is when
What
the
is
boxes go.
Monday's date?
I think it's
January 15th, 2024 is
January
on a Monday.
15th. Yep, January
there we go.
15th.
Okay. So they need to go out by Monday. They need to go out by Monday. I'll just have to, I'll look at the calendar, figure out when we're going to do the live box opening, and I'll get the event put in there just as soon as I know when they'll be ready to go out, because I want y'all to have it in your hand, but I want you all to be at that box opening because it's going to make a big difference. Oh yeah, Margie, just put them backwards. She just put it backwards. It's barely art, not barely art. Yeah, and it's not barely arts, it's barely art. And they shape it like a bear, so you can remember the bear, barely art. Hell yeah, you know, but please don't be too hard on me if I say I'm wrong. Because you know, Margie, I'm only human. So sometimes things are just wrong. Nah, it's okay. But Margie and I were talking about this the other day. I like, if I make a mistake, like if I was saying Mod Podge and it's really Mod Podge, I'd want one of my friends to tell me. Because if I say that, it means I don't know. And I want to know. I want to say it correctly. So that's why we always say things like that when we hear them often mistold, because sometimes there's things that I heard for a long time and it really isn't what I thought I was hearing. It's hard to tell sometimes. So I would want somebody to tell me so that I could at least say it correctly. Oh,
The same thing like when you have lipstick on your teeth.
Yes, please tell me.
Yes,
Yeah. Oh, what kind of a friend wouldn't tell me?
exactly.
Yeah.
Once again, I was talking and I was muted and I didn't mean.
You do that so well.
Like guillotine and guillotine.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, that's another one. Yes. That's
Yep.
another one.
Yep. And I don't know if that is a European thing to say guillotine. And I know that some people learned it as guillotine. And
I
Well,
learned it
just
as
like-
guillotine.
and maybe
Just like schedule.
Yeah. And so maybe it is a European thing. So I don't judge people from another country because they may have that maybe how they say it in that country.
Mhm.
But, you know. Yes,
So-
it is guillotine.
This is a master board. This is something I will never cut up.
Love it.
It was it started as a piece of paper I did not appreciate. I put a lot of stuff on top of it. There's many, many layers on here.
Dawn, I love the palette. That is awesome.
Mhm.
And what makes these flowers is it was a curtain that was on sheer white fabric. I put it down, they came out white, and then I took watercolor and put over it
Oh, nice. After they dried.
after they dried.
Awesome. Love that. Love that idea.
So I will never cut this, but one day it will end up as a digital
So we'll
because
scan it in.
I will
Oh,
scan it in and
Absolutely.
yes.
you can
My
actually
cat
see some of the original pattern. It looked like it was a tattoo sort of.
Uh-huh.
So you can see it
Yep,
through some of
see it.
this.
Absolutely. Back there in the background.
And
I
it
love
wasn't green. I believe it was like this bright neon yellow.
Oh, wow.
So it's
Dawn, that
changed
is
that
so
much.
cool. That is awesome. I love that.
Thank
I do
you.
too. Very pretty. Thank you for sharing that.
I also made this today, but it's not a collage.
Oh, that's cute.
But the picture that it was
Uh-huh.
a collage of it's actually a quilt. There's this very famous quilt artist here in the Raleigh area, and they did a big expose on her, and I picked up the magazine because I wanted to see, because I've seen her work.
Uh-huh.
And she does it
Then-
of things in the Raleigh area, and
Oh,
Krispy
that's
Kreme
cool.
came from Raleigh, and this
Wow.
was the
Yeah.
original one.
And
So
I love Krispy Kreme.
So she
so
made
I
a
did
good
this
quilt. I know. Just
She does them as quilts, and she does each frame, like she takes a picture and she cuts it into squares like you would to draw.
Oh,
Sometimes you learned how
yeah.
to draw that
Yep.
way.
Uh-huh.
But then she
Makes
makes them
perfect
into
sense.
mini tiny quilts, and then she puts them
Uh-huh.
all together into one big quilt.
Wow, that's cool.
So,
What a great idea.
yeah, it's an amazing,
Creative
beautiful.
mind. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Love that. That lady's got it going on.
Yep, she sure does.
What's your name?
I don't have it off the top of my head.
Okay. That's cool.
Sorry. I
That's
cut up the article because I liked all the pictures.
I liked it so much I cut it up.
Yep.
That's
Oops.
awesome. Yeah.
I'm making her art into my art.
Yep. Collaboration.
Exactly.
Isn't that called casing?
I don't know.
When you case something? Card makers
don't-
do that.
Oh.
Copy, and
Oh.
something,
Stop.
something.
Why did my ALEXA just totally start something?
I don't know.
I just love mine. I love mine.
Bye, Margie.
Super.
Thanks for coming. Have a great night.
Oh, and this
Night,
was
Margie.
one of the other cards that, remember, I had really
Uh-huh.
switched them around. Well, because I had taken this one and scrunched it up, it came apart.
Oh.
So I put the backing, which was all blank colors or just
Uh-huh.
plain colors, and I put them onto the one that had big open spaces.
Oh, cool.
So
That
it
is cool.
sort of shows different ways you can do different ways the same thing can turn out.
Yeah. Many different roads to the same end.
Yep. In fact,
Or
I have
different
one for this
result.
one too.
Just remember, when it comes to collage, there is no right, there is no wrong. Whatever you do is great.
Yep.
And if you like it, great. If you don't like it as much as you want to like it, then you can keep going, or, whatever you want. It's all great with collage.
It is.
That's why we love collage. That's why we love collage. I am going to finish a black and white one that is torn, not shaken, not stirred. Yeah. Torn, not cut. I don't know what it is about black and white. Why is that, Sylvia? The black and white makes me want to cut it into nice straight lines.
Well, the presentation, black and white, is kind of austere. One is lack of light, and the other one is lots of light. So it kind of prompts you in that direction.
That's interesting. I never thought about that. But I realized tonight that it does make me want to do that. So because of that, I want to oppose it, and I want to do one torn. And then I'll probably turn around and do one that's cut nicely too. But
I think I'm going to add a little bit of tissue to this. I added to the leaf that I love our metallic pigments, the Stardust.
Oh, yes.
You got us.
And
I used the copper on the leaf.
Oh, that was a great idea. I love that.
Now I'm thinking about putting the tissue to offset it a little bit.
Nice.
But I'm done because I've got a disaster behind me.
Mine is not glued to the ground, but I got a disaster here to clean up.
Oh my gosh. Mine leads from my craft room through my kitchen into my dining room.
Oh, no.
Well, because I moved a big old thing out and, so I've been, yeah.
Well, thanks for being here.
Tonight was fun. Oh, no, tonight was fun. And I can't wait to see everybody's stuff online.
Me too. I love seeing everybody's pictures.
Yes.
Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks for helping out, DM and Sylvia, and sharing your pieces of collage with everyone.
Thumbs up. Make a comment, please.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, thumbs up. YouTube is putting us in front of people so that they can join us if they like the same kinds of things we like. So appreciate the thumbs up. And as soon as we leave, go ahead and come back in and leave a quick comment, because that also tells YouTube that those who are watching think that it's worth seeing, and then it will put this in front of other people as well who might like to join Happy Paper People. And we love new friends. Toby says,
Yes,
Sylvia,
we do.
that's very interesting. Oh, that could be, Jen. A lot of these patterns are very square, block, solid, not solid, but you know, patterned pattern. Maybe that makes me want to do it. Straight lines. Jen will post when she feels like quitting. Her page is huge. Yeah, you'll have to cut it down to, well, you could take one big picture from away, but yeah. That was something we played with on Monday to try this medium, whatever it was, and see how it would work. I'm just going to put that right on there. It's black and white. So awesome. Thanks, you guys. Yeah, get some pictures. We'll get them posted. And let's see. Today is Thursday. I think I don't know. We'll do a live on Saturday at noon. And I'm not sure yet if it will be a sale or just a live that will focus on something like this. So I may need to talk to admin about a couple things. So, but we'll do a live on Saturday. So keep that in your mind, and we'll get it on the books so you can see it on YouTube. So
5 different ways.
There you go. 5. They were different anyway, just for having the different pieces. But then she made every single one of them different. That's cool.
Bye, ladies.
Which do you like the best, DM?
I think I like this one the best because I could do a lot of coloring and stuff on the where there's no.
Yeah.
I love them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one I just cut into strips and then put it on and made sure that the patterns weren't matching with each other. And so once I had it like this, I cut it into 4 strips.
Yep, and put it on something else. Okay, cool. All right, guys. Thank you for being here. And we will see you in the group.
21 degrees.